This is Tuesday.
Are we on the air?
I'm listening.
Off the air? No.
You're on the air.
I'm a huge fan of your show. I mean, I don't know how you do it. The radio is like your kingdom.
How original.
How original.
Well, it's not the king of the world bit.
That's a heck of a way to start the day there.
And now if you'll all be quiet, we'll start the show.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning. Kind of a slow day in the world of sports. Not a lot going on. We really are in the dog days before football kicks off. Let's go. Let's kick off football. The Browns announced their starting quarterback, Todd Monken, the new head coach in Cleveland, says it's going to be Deshaun Watson. And for the life of me, I do not understand that. Don't understand it. Deshaun Watson is 30. Deshaun Watson has been a mess for years in the NFL. He's coming off two Achilles. I just can't imagine he's going to be a good quarterback. Maybe he will be. I'm not sure Shedeur Sanders is going to be a good quarterback either, but I think Cleveland ought to find out. Maybe he's an NFL starter. More likely, he's an NFL backup. Possibly, he's none of the above. If he's the better quarterback, as a younger guy with more runway, I'd like to find out. If he's not good enough, Cleveland ought to tank this year because there are going to be a lot of teams that want quarterbacks. There are going to be a lot of quarterbacks next year. Have a bad year and get there. I don't see them being a playoff team with either quarterback. And if they are, they're done in a hurry. I just can't imagine that a team that has never been to the Super Bowl, a team that has not hosted a playoff game since 1995, a team that has not won a division since 1989, is going to do either of those things, any of those things. That's three: Super Bowl, division, home playoff game. They've just been really bad for a long time. I suspect neither of these guys can get the team to mediocre, and I think that's the best that they could do. So then be terrible, and maybe Deshaun Watson's it. Maybe they'll just throw Watson out there. Probably the most likely one is one guy plays for a few games, he's terrible, and they go to the other one. So maybe this just doesn't matter. But get onto it and get a quarterback. Everyone talks about the Browns' roster is getting better, but you need better quarterback play, and they're just nowhere. And the fact that they were out there last year looking at like 4 or 5 different quarterbacks, and they may have cut the best of them. Cleveland, what are you doing? Anyway, enough of the Browns. We'll get to the NFL soon enough. We're not that far away now. We're going to switch here, though, and talk a little college football. Utes getting ready for the opener. Just a little tune-up here. Just a little, a little money game. Get a little W. And then bring in Arkansas from the SEC. Later this morning, we will hear in the 6 o'clock hour, we will hear from defensive coordinator Colton Swan and offensive coordinator Kevin McGiven. We got both of those guys coming up. The Ute coaches talked yesterday. We will hear from those two. We're also going to hear from the offensive line coach Jordan Gross, because if that O-line is good, then the offense ought to be flying. They don't have to be as dominant as they were last year. I think this offense could be flying if they get good line play. They got a good running back. Sounds like the receivers are upgraded. They've got not only a good quarterback, they might have the best backup quarterback in the league too. So it looks like everything is set as long as the line play is good. We'll hear from Jordan Gross coming up. But first, the defense, the defensive line. Luther Elliss, what does he have to say about the D-line? Let's talk to the Ute legend turned assistant coach. Here's Luther Elliss with the media.
Coach, we know a big emphasis has been improving in the run game defensively, but how do you feel like your group is going to be at rushing the passer this season?
I think we'll be pretty good. I think Noakes has brought a lot of good things to the table, and I think with the DNs and us and the backers, I think we're going to do a good job getting after the quarterback.
Coach, how do you feel about your depth, rotation, just as you guys are a week out from the season starting?
I feel really good about our depth, and rotation will continually build and see where we're at with that, but it's a constant thing every day. Nobody should get comfortable, right? That's why I believe we rotate who's starting every day just based on the prior day's practice and how you approach the day, because nothing's guaranteed, and for surely nothing you should be comfortable with, because football's an ever-changing game. Anything can happen, and you got to be ready to go.
Do you feel like has emerged so far throughout fall camp or just impressed you the most?
Ooh. I think the room's done a really good job. But probably I would say Jai, just his consistency since he's been here in spring and fall, and he's probably my most consistent with him and Carson. They just continually show up day in and day out and do the things that we're asking. But all the guys have done a good job, from Poo-Poo to Lucas to Mike to Jamal to Dylan. Maybe Dylan might be a bigger surprise just because he's made huge strides from spring to fall camp.
Speaking with Jai, you talked about, sometimes being undersized, he gets overlooked and where he's at, but he has got that chip on his shoulder. Where have you seen him kind of manifest that, knowing that he is a little undersized than maybe some other guys, and how can he be effective in this team?
Well, I think he understands that he has to be a technician, and he's very good, if not one of our best technicians, day in and day out. So I think that really helps him. Then he is strong and explosive. He's very explosive, and he does some really good things. So, I think when you look at like the Pro Bowl list, talking NFL now and different things, you look at the majority of guys that are Hall of Fame and those type of guys, they're all undersized guys. They're not the Reggie Whites of the game, which Reggie is a Hall of Famer. He's awesome and big monster. But you go, just start looking at John Randall, Warren Sapp, Aaron, right, Donald. You look at all those guys, some of the greatest ones here recently are around that 6 foot mark. 280-ish, 300 maybe, and from there. So you just look at to me, size, right? The measurables are what they are, measurables. But at the end of the day, it's about, can you play this game, and he can play this game.
With Poo-Poo and Carson, how much did their experience last year kind of give them a head start in this year's offseason?
Yeah, I think they finally they understood what it takes to be a great D tackle in the game, and how to do things, and what to expect on game days. Because you can have a great week of practice, but game day is still different. It's a different beast. So how do you prepare mentally throughout the week to be consistent so you can show up on game day? And I think that's probably the biggest edge they have over some other guys.
Coach Elliss, as someone who's been around the program for a minute, what culture change have you seen since Morgan Scally took over?
Well, it's very similar culture. It's just all now Coach Scally's verbiage, right? And what we do. It's just RSMB, Relentless Smart Nasty Ball Hawks, right? It's in another way to say respect the process. It's just one of those things that it's brought to fruition in different ways and different looks, and his is just a huge emphasis, of course, being a first-time head coach, wanting to set the standard and how we do things, and then how we're going to practice and do different things. So all of it's been it's similar but different, and when you look at the track record and what we've done in the past, has been very good, and I just think it will continue through him, just the different emphasis on different areas. But the culture is now RSNB, and we all love it, and we all understand it. The kids understand it. They understand what it means daily to have this culture, and it's a throughout the team type of culture. So it's good. But to say one particular thing, no, it's worded differently. If that makes sense, right? It's winning football is winning football. And in my opinion, there's only one way to get it done, and that's through your culture, and that your culture is lived out daily. And Scally's emphasis is on living it out daily.
All right, there is Luther Elliss with the media. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're talking Big 12 football with Pete Sousa. Stay with us. DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're joined by Pete Sousa, host of Inside the Big 12 and the Pete Sousa Show. Pete, good morning.
David, Patrick, what's going on, fellas? How we doing?
Well, we're just dragging through the fall camp that happens in summer when it's 100 degrees here in Utah, and we can't wait to get to the games and be surprised by something, by anything. That's the beauty of sports. It's unscripted drama. You got any surprises you're leaning towards for all the talk we're getting about college football? You think people are overlooking somebody or some team?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I was taking a look at Big 12 quarterbacks this morning because I've never been – in my life so close to the conference and the quarterback play, just like following it, talking to coaches, talking to players. And it is interesting when you see the way that we rank the Big 12 quarterbacks now, or like the experts rank them. Like I was looking at an article from On3 this morning, and that's a site and an outlet that I really trust. Those guys know ball. And, if you look at their rankings, they have like DJ Lagway, Avery Johnson. They even have Bear Bachmeyer ranked at 4 with Connor Wegman. Those guys are all like in the middle of the pack. And then at the top is Drew Mestamaker, Devin Dampier, guys who were not Noah Fafita, right? Guys who have been the sleepers are now the stars, and like the star quarterbacks are now the sleepers. So in a perfect world for the Big 12, right, you would see a guy like DJ Lagway, Avery Johnson, or even Juju Lewis at Colorado, like reach their potential, or at least somewhat. And then you've got like so many exciting quarterbacks. Personally, you guys out there in Salt Lake are actually talking to the right guy this morning. I have week 1, I have Thursday night at Utah. I'm calling that game for ESPN, so Idaho at Utah. And then we're going down the road to Provo for Saturday night for Utah Tech BYU. So I have both those games, and I've been digging into both those teams, and I'm so pumped to see Utah and Devin Dampier, like a healthy 100% Devin Dampier, and then also one more year of development from Bear Bachmeyer after an explosive freshman campaign.
I keep reading and seeing that there was possibilities of Tech bringing in another quarterback. Is that sending an inappropriate message that we don't really believe in you, Will, even though you're our guy?
Well, look, as far as that quarterback situation is concerned, I think that's just they're trying to – it's a CYA deal, right? Cover your you-know-what. I don't think they want to get caught with their pants down because last year, really one of the things that buoyed Texas Tech and their playoff hopes was when Baron Morton went down, Will Hammond was there, and he was able to hold the line and at times maybe even take Texas Tech above the line. So I think it's more for depth. I don't know that it is like, hey, Will Hammond, you're not playing well enough. Here's one thing I will say. They are very, how should I say it? They're holding the steering wheel pretty tight at Tech about offensive production this year. They do not want to end up in another situation where they're in the college football playoff and their offense gets embarrassed. So I think there is a little bit of, hey, what can we do? What can we do? And in a universe of college football where, you know, we've got a guy who just spent training camp with the Browns who is more than likely going to be playing with LSU this year. Like the possibilities are endless. And we've seen, you know, Texas Tech, God bless them, they can play like the morality role, right? Like after everything kind of went by the wayside with Brendan Sorsby. The truth of the matter is they would probably do whatever they could to make their team better. In this climate, it's legal to do that too.
Do you think at quarterback you can bring somebody in and they don't know the offense, they don't know the guys? Does it work? I mean, if you brought in a running back or a cornerback, I totally believe it. But the later we get, doesn't it just seem impossible?
Yeah, and honestly, that's what makes Bear Bachmeyer so unbelievable. You know, and, you know, that what we witnessed last year at BYU is like one of the more unique things you will ever come across. And that's because he is such a unique guy from such a unique family, really. And like I was watching something about his brother, Tiger, yesterday. And Tiger's like already graduated Stanford. Now he's at BYU. He's got his pilot license. He speaks like 7 different languages. Like those guys are so smart. But the reason I bring, you know, Bear up is because it is hard, and you can't really just do it. And so I think that's sort of a fool's errand, but I will say the idea for Tech, right, to bring in another quarterback, because this is what they were saying all along about Will Hammond and even Brendan Sorsby was like, look, if we can get somebody under center by November that is lathered up and we're ready to go, that's what we need to really punch through in the college football playoff. So I think that these coaches are aware of what you're saying, and it's like if we do bring on somebody later in the season, it's or somebody to start the season, it probably won't be later in the season till we expect to see them at their absolute best and totally in sync with the rest of the offense.
What did you make of Kalani Sitake being so vocal about their charge of doing more with less and that they haven't given the program the promises that they made? It's kind of strange timing.
It's super weird. And, you know, Kalani Sitake is such an amazing guy, and we have this body of work with him that shows us nothing but he's an amazing guy and that he's an amazing coach. So when he starts to get vocal like this, it definitely makes, people like me who are a little further away from the situation from, say, everybody day to day out there in Utah, it's a head scratcher for us. And then I talk to, guys like you and people around the program there who are really close to it, and they say that, there's some stuff going on between Kalani and Brian Santiago, and that situation has gotten pretty tense. And, Mark Hill comes on board, and is he the guy that's going to, take it over for Santiago? There's so much going on, right? Or would he potentially take over for Santiago if BYU were to move on? There's so much happening out there. And it is concerning because 2 weeks ago I said, this is all smoke. Kalani's just trying to make sure he gets what he was promised, right? Like no more Mr. Nice Guy. And now I'm starting to think, I hope this doesn't bleed over and impact, what the Cougars are doing, because if you think about the success, and they've had great success over the past 2 years that BYU has had, a lot of it comes because they are so in sync. Because, look, man, when you are a team that plays together and plays for a cause greater than, and everyone is on the same page and there's no drama in the locker room or around the program, the ball bounces your way. That's just how it works in football and in life, right? If you're doing the next right thing. So if that gets a little clumsy inside the program, it is kind of concerning now. It's just something I'm keeping an eye on, because you don't want to see that. We're 2 weeks now from September 5th, BYU's opener against Utah Tech. I don't think you'd see it, against Utah Tech, but next week you play Arizona, and it's like, okay. So I would think that over the next few weeks, everything will kind of be cleared up. Or I would hope, because BYU has a heck of a football team.
Morgan Scalley taking over at Utah. There's a temptation to think everything's going to go along just as it was. There's the thought that, hey, there's always some kind of learning curve. Until you've been a head coach, you can't really have that experience. I'm looking at the roster wondering if there's as many difference makers as they're used to having. They'll be solid, but big-time players making big plays in big games. I wonder if they're a little short on that. What do you think?
Well, I think they have explosive guys. Like, you bring back Devin Dampier, you still have Bird Ficklin, even a guy like Nate Johnson, who's like literally listed as athlete now. They can play him anywhere. And then, Wayshawn Parker is trying to get 1,000 yards this year. Daniel Bray behind him. I think they have the playmakers, right? Like, looking at this team getting ready for this first game, like, I think there's a ton of excitement. Here's where I actually worry a little bit about Utah is that Kevin McGiven, their new offensive coordinator, they're talking about, hey, we're going to add more wrinkles. Last year, I love our guy, Steve Bartle, right? Bartle had the best stat. I think I was listening to you guys where he said it's like 60, it was like 60-40 last year, running, passing for Utah. And now it'll probably be 50-50. I don't know that I love that. I mean, I know it's a different approach, and Utah won 11 games last year. Like Kyle Whittingham's recipe worked. I understand that you got changes along the offensive line, but as Morgan Scalley says, that happens every year. You lose studs, you have to replace them. That's opportunities for other guys, and Utah certainly has the horses up front that can, maybe you're not going to have 2 first-round picks, but you're still going to be strong up front. I'll be really interested to see when we get into the thick of the Big 12 slate for Utah, like, are they able to just run teams and knock them off the ball and win the way that Kyle Whittingham liked to win? Or is, taking a more sexy approach to the offensive attack? Like, could that hurt this team, right? I'm interested to see that, because clearly, I think Morgan Scalley is going to do very well. And I think the fact that he has been coaching waiting for a while, he's more than prepared. And I just love his energy and his roots to Utah. And it seems like everybody around there is like totally enamored with him being the head coach now. But the change in philosophy on offense worries me a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
I mean, he's a legend. You know what I mean? Like, Kyle's a complete legend. I was looking for, it's been like 2 decades since somebody else has been a head coach at Utah. Like, I understand Morgan Scalley's ready for the challenge, but Kyle was very special.
Can there be sleeper teams this year, and if so, who?
Yes, I definitely think there can be. I always look back to 2 years ago, and you guys, this hits close to home for you, or 2-3 years ago, we began the season with Cam Rising in Utah and Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State, right? They were like, everybody was talking about those two teams. They're number 1 and number 2 in the Big 12. And it was like opposite day for the entire year. Those two teams were near the bottom. A lot of it had to do with injuries. But I think you got to keep an eye on Oklahoma State. I'm starting to believe that hype a little bit because Eric Morris has shown he can win at every level. And every year we have a guy a young coach, right, who splashes onto the scene with a hot quarterback. And, they did that sort of last year. Mestamaker did with Eric Morris at North Texas. But now, if you do it in the Big 12, the whole country's going to be watching. Yeah. And I think Houston also. I think Willie Fritz is like beyond special as a head coach. And what they did last year, again, that was a 10-3 season that kind of like ho-hum, a little bit like Utah's. So I don't think you can count Houston out because Connor Wegman, there's a reason he was like the best quarterback in the country going into Texas A&M, and he's starting to remind us of that. So those are two sleepers who I'm keeping an eye on.
Do we always have to watch these Texas teams, and maybe it changes, but I just wonder with TCU and Baylor, and they're not all going to be up at the same time, but there's just so much talent there. So if they have a decent amount of money, could any one of them catch lightning in a bottle?
I love Baylor. I spent a lot of time in Central Texas, and I'm close to a lot of people around the program. But and certainly I think it could be a situation for Baylor where you talk about the athleticism. I think DJ Lagway could be a lot of fun to watch, and I think their ceiling is like 7-8 wins. So I don't know that you have to really worry about Baylor. I think TCU could be interesting because it just seems like every couple of years, they have been steadily very good. And Sonny Dykes seems to be in love with Jaden Craig, their new quarterback from Harvard. And Sonny Dykes just says, look, he just wins. So, again, you talk about the ball bouncing your way. If the ball bounced their way a couple times last year, that's a team that, would have had a run at the college football playoff. So I think TCU this year, more so than Baylor, is someone to keep an eye on.
The goal here is to get multiple teams into the playoff. We all understand that, and that hasn't happened yet. How much do you think that will be determined upon the success of the big non-conference games that a few of these teams have?
I think it will determine a lot. I think that the one that, we all have circled is BYU and Notre Dame. And that is going to be, right now, that's the game I'm most excited for in the college football season, period. Because if BYU, this is it. You have a home game against the perennial power, and Notre Dame's going to be really good this year. A lot of times in the past, even last year, BYU on the road at Texas Tech, right, in that game on Saturday afternoon, and then Big 12 championship in Texas. Like, you finally have this game being played at home in Provo. And I heard my ESPN brother and BYU legend, Trevor Maddich, made a great point. He said, this could be, and I remember as a kid watching that game when Ty Detmer and the Cougars beat Miami on national television to open the season. And it was just like, whoa. It's like they grabbed everybody by the lapels early that year and said, we are here. We're the real deal. And, of course, Ty Detmer goes on to win the Heisman Trophy. And that game was played in Provo. Like, that's an opportunity, the game at Notre Dame for BYU, to give the Big 12 two teams in the college football playoff. And really, you don't necessarily have to win that game if you can hold serve throughout the rest of your schedule. You need to keep it close, and obviously you would want to win it. But even if you lose it, if it's like a 3-point game, you still remain in the conversation. If again you hold serve when you're supposed to everywhere else, which is a huge if, as we know, once the ball gets kicked off.
Other top 10 opponents out there: Oklahoma State's going to host Oregon. Arizona State has to go to Texas A&M. There's probably another tier of games: Iowa State, Missouri, Kansas. How many of those can they win, and how much can they move the needle here? Because it feels like the dream could be dead real quick.
Well, look, I think that the good news is the game, nobody's expecting Oklahoma State to beat Oregon, even though that game's going to be at Oklahoma State, and I think that's going to be an amazing environment because Oklahoma State should win Week 1 against Tulsa, and then that is an amazing fan base. They got a ton of resources there. That place, they're bloodthirsty, that program. So that environment in itself should be awesome. The scary ones, if I'm literally handicapping it with you and I'm being maybe a little negative, saying the dream could be dead already, and my heart's breaking over here. I would say that Utah, Arkansas is one that's kind of scary, right? Because Arkansas is like, they're Arkansas. They stunk last year, but, I mean, they've got SEC athletes. And they come on the road, they're upset that that's a night game. There's all kinds of, there's a chip on your shoulder, nobody believes in us attitude that you really don't want an SEC opponent coming into your stadium with. So they've got to win games like that, right? They cannot lose games like that. And you mentioned, Kansas needs to beat Missouri, right? They almost beat them last year. They need to beat Missouri. I don't expect Arizona State to win Texas A&M, but you just got to win the games you're supposed to win, and then you get a big one like BYU over Notre Dame, and then we're talking. But I am with you in a sense where, like, you sort of have to prove to me that you can do it before I'm like, oh, they're going to do it. So I would like to see the Big 12 show me that they can get two teams in this college football playoff, right?
Well, we'd all like to see them show that, and then we'd like one of them to be one of our teams. And both would be great, but that seems pretty greedy, and Texas Tech seems to be lined up pretty well. So we'll see how it plays out. Pete, as always, we love having you come on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Guys, you do an amazing job. Like, getting ready for these two games, I've been listening to a lot of you guys, and it's a total delight. So I look forward to the next time, and I appreciate you having me on.
All right, there is Pete Sousa talking Big 12 football. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from more of the U coaches. We're going to hear from both the coordinators, Colton Swan and Kevin McGiven. We're also going to hear from the offensive line coach, Jordan Gross. That's all next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time to hear from the coordinators and from the offensive line coach. We'll start right there with Jordan Gross. Going to practice, it's crazy to look at him and, like, he's done a good job of dropping weight since his playing career. But he's still got that big frame. You can still tell. And, they don't let us in when the good stuff happens, 11 on 11. We're in there, and we're seeing him work with five guys, off to the side. And you can just tell, he just sounds like an O-lineman. He talks like an O-lineman. Everything about it, man. Here's Jordan Gross with the media.
Your position group's one that obviously there's a lot of intrigue in going into the season. How do you feel like your position group has come together in this fall camp, and have you seen improvement to where you feel comfortable in what they're doing?
Yeah, it's been an outstanding fall camp. All the credit goes to our players on that offensive line. Everything from no returning starters to a new offense to a new O-line coach. There's just so much that they've had to take on, and every day has been just even more encouragement to me that they are all in on being a really great unit this year. So we've developed quality depth. Honestly, still working to identify who that first five will be when we take the field, and that's a very good thing. Not, oh crap, who is it going to be? Like, dang it, who do I need to pick out of this unit? So been a lot of fun. I'm very lucky. It's a great group.
Kind of building off that, at the beginning of fall, you said that you had about 10 guys that you would feel comfortable with at any given time. What is that number like now? Is it still 10? Is it more? Is it less? Just what is that all look like?
Yeah, we've come out of camp, knock on wood, relatively healthy. Everybody's had their turns getting some bumps and bruises throughout camp as to be expected. So the beauty of that has been we've had a lot of different combinations. When we've called that, first group up, it's been a different unit a number of times. I wouldn't waver off of that statement I made at the beginning of camp. So, there's some guys that have more experience or are better than others, but that depth development has been the bright spot, even more so than our first five. That second five that we think we could win a game with it's what's really nice for us right now.
Kind of building on that, who's been the most pleasant surprise to kind of push themselves into that mix?
Well, everybody's been a pleasant surprise because I haven't worked with them before, So the guys that have been here a long time, Al Harrison and Zerway Williams come to mind, along with Keith Olson, as they put in their time here waiting for an opportunity, and they're definitely going to receive that opportunity. Solatoa Moyai has done a fantastic job of getting in great shape. I think he would argue maybe the best shape he's been in since he's been here, and he's going to have a fantastic year. Obot for being a true freshman. It's impressive how well he's been able to get himself factored in the equation. And then, really 2 other guys after that, I would say, well, 3. I mean, it's hard. I don't want to say a name and not say all of them, but Roger Alderman's improving, Reese as well, Kemma, who's new to us this year, and along with Cedric. So, I sound like a fanboy of all these players, but I really am. They've done a nice job.
You coached a lot, obviously, in high school as his head coach, and now you're his position coach. What has that journey been like for you to just kind of be a head coach for him and a mentor in high school, but also kind of be able to continue that in the college ranks? Yeah,
it's been a wonderful surprise that we're still getting the opportunity for me to coach him. I think it's benefited Kelvin a lot that he didn't have to switch to a different coaching style, different lingo, different way of doing things, different level of expectation. So about as smooth of a transition as a person could ever get, I think, having, a consistent coach for 4 years and then just continuing on. But what's been really neat about my relationship with Kelvin has been that I get to coach him at a lot deeper level than I did before when we were a small high school team and we had 5 minutes for individual and then we had to move on to something else, and so he's a sponge for knowledge and he's an incredibly driven, hardworking young man, and it's even become more apparent since we've been here together.
How are you feeling about the communication of your 5-man unit once you do set that group, since you haven't been able to confirm that early now, especially come some road game adversities that you guys will face later?
Yeah, it's something for us to continue to press on and have urgency with. That's a great question. We sat Saturday in our last meeting at the break of camp, and as an O-line unit, I let them put on the board what we need to focus on, and they said that as well. Just continue to improve communication and chemistry amongst everybody that could be out there, because again, we're just working in some uncharted territory with whatever combination it ends up being.
All right, there is Jordan Gross. Now let's pivot to the coordinators, and we'll start with the offensive coordinator, Kevin McGiven, meeting with the media.
As you've gotten to know Devin more and know his strengths, what, I guess, makes you most excited about him in your offense?
That you don't have to be perfect as a play caller, because he just kind of makes things right, when things break down. No, obviously you want to put him in good situations, but that is one of the key components to the ball moving, and we're able to see that in practices when he just kind of takes over, something kind of breaks down, and he's still able to make something out of it. But his playmaking ability, coupled with the progress that he's made as a leader, as a decision maker, his processing within the offense, all those kind of things, I'm really anxious to see it all come to fruition.
How are you feeling about the current state of the offensive line, not having that starting 5 solidified yet, and just the potential guys who could emerge there? Yeah,
still, a little bit of mixing and matching going on, but I think as a total unit, there's enough chemistry there, regardless of who you put in there, where the communication is really good, because those guys have been around each other and they've been in the system now for a little bit, and so I think there's a comfortability with those guys regardless of who's in there. There's trust being developed regardless of who's in there at what spot, and still just trying to solidify things a little bit.
Is there one area of this offense where you feel most confident, or maybe surprised you as you've gotten this far into it after maybe starting at the beginning of the year?
Feel confident that we have playmakers at some different spots. I think there's, when the ball's distributed, you're not really in a panic in terms of whose hands it's going to fall in. But I think our ability to mix and match personnel and formation to attack people some different ways that way, guys have shown proficiency in being able to execute different things with our schemes and with our presentation. So I like the direction that's headed. I like where we're headed culturally, in terms of just the effort that they play with and the physicality that they play with. I think that's come a long ways as well. And so, yeah, a lot of things that I think they're doing pretty well right now.
A lot of people have said that you like throwing the ball as part of your offense, but you also have Wayshawn Parker, Daniel Bray, a ton of good running backs. How do you kind of balance out all the talent that you have on offense defense? Because it seems like you have plentiful talent.
Yeah, no, I've kind of mentioned this. I think there's been places where maybe it was a necessity to throw, and we're throwing it more, capitalize on the skill set of your quarterbacks or maybe the receivers that you had. If you felt like that was a strength of your offense, and so to me, it's more just centered around your personnel. We have Wayshawn back there, and Wayshawn needs to get. He needs to take on his share of the load, and he needs to be able to showcase that and have those opportunities. But you also got Bray back there that you can use in some similar ways as Wayshawn, some different ways as Wayshawn in terms of his skill set. So to me, it's not so much about running and throwing it. It's just making sure that you're featuring your personnel the right way and that you're distributing to the right people at the right times.
How important is it to have an established hierarchy in terms of who gets this many looks, who gets this many touches?
I think important. I think it's you never want to come out of a game and you have playmakers that didn't get opportunities. When you look at a stat sheet, whether it's guys on the perimeter getting targets or guys in the backfield getting carries. I fell into that a little bit last year with, running back that we were trying to get carries a lot of, but then you're RPO or triple option based, and then all of a sudden the ball's not in his hands as much as you would like it to be. And so there is a delicate balance of that. Some of it you got to pay attention to within the game to, be charting that and see how it's unfolding that way. And then, if you come out of a game and it's not what you wanted, then how you approach the next game, philosophically, how you're scripting calls or sequencing calls, to make sure that certain guys are getting involved. I think it's important.
Excluding the Rhinos and Hunter, because they're a different breed of their own. What does this
yes, they are.
What does this tight end room? What does their usage look like? What should fans expect from the tight ends this year?
I think those guys have come a long way. Hunter even was one of the ones that, like, if you had just asked me the tight ends in general, I would have said he was one of the most improved in that room, along with Kanai. But Hunter, I think, was showing this fall camp what we expect him to be all along. Couldn't really showcase that as much in spring because he was still coming back from his injury, but is starting to, a guy that can stretch the field and a guy that you can package some things around. But I think they've all really developed as inline guys in terms of blocking. With their ability to execute things in the pass game and make some plays, contested catches, things like that. And so the biggest thing I see in that room is just a bunch of versatility and different guys that you can utilize different ways in terms of your personnel packages.
How have you seen Dan Pierce show his leadership since you've been here?
I think becoming more vocal, with the unit and with the team. I think the way he carries himself on the field, with those guys has, made marked improvements. And so I think, and I think with him, a big factor in all of it was just how comfortable he was with the offense. It's sometimes hard to be a leader, and especially a vocal leader, when you're out there and you're kind of swimming a little bit. But the more confident you get, the faster you're playing, then you can start to think about those other things and getting other guys going, because you're not so worried about yourself and making sure that you know what's going on and that you're taking care of your role first. So.
Outside of Braden Pagan, who are some of the other wide receivers that you feel have had great fall camps and really stepped up?
Yeah, Ricky Johnson really stepped up. Creed Whitmore has really stepped up. Creed probably has carved out more of a role than what he even had in the spring. But I would say especially those two guys.
Brendan Rowe's now on the roster. How much does that afford you to be able to be or utilize Bert Ficklin a little bit more, knowing that you do have some depth in case you need it?
Yeah, I think, regardless of, it's awesome to have Brandon. They're just, someone with, that experience, game experience. He's been awesome for the room. He's been awesome for our team, the offense, and all those kind of things. But yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily look at it any different, regardless of whether he was there or not, because I think Bert is has the type of athleticism and talent that you're going to want to find ways to use him regardless of what that looks like. So.
Back here. Can you talk about the strength of having the experience and the leadership of the Devin Dampier, but then the youth and the work ethic of a Bird Ficklin, and how much fun it makes your job to be able to watch these two make each other better?
Yeah, it's every day is really fun with those guys. I mean, just watching them interact, being involved in their process. But I would kind of categorize it like you said. You have Dev that has quite a bit more experience, and in some ways that shows up. I think that's why he's the leader of our offense and our starting quarterback. But to see Bird learn from him, to see them challenge each other, really cool dynamic. And when you get in packages where they can both make an impact, they have a lot of fun with that stuff. And so, really, really cool thing.
There's Utah offensive coordinator Kevin McGiven. Now here's the defensive coordinator, Colton Swan.
Coach Swan, how would you assess the progress of your linebackers specifically throughout fall?
Well, I know they've taken huge strides. You look at Jonu, who is probably out of the group, got the most playing experience, obviously, and he, in the last couple weeks, has done a really good job of building upon his repertoire of, skill sets. He's done a great job. Trey Reynolds has always been a really steady backer that is, very consistent and is continuing to do a great job. And then I've got two young guys that are coming along that, are phenomenal linebackers in Elijah Elliss and Cyrus Polu. Those four guys are doing a fantastic job. They've had a great fall camp, and has kind of shown to not only me but us defensively and Coach Scally that, hey, we got to find ways to utilize these four guys with such talent.
I'm going to ask you a question about football. I'm just curious. You've been a position coach for a long time. You're now a defensive coordinator. Just how different is it kind of adjusting the lens of being a defensive coordinator, focusing on all positions? And how do you hope your defense to look this year?
In hopes of my defense looks very tough and gritty, and we constantly are preaching our culture to them. We play hard, we play smart, and we do it with great technique. Those are the three things that defensively that we're focused on every rep, every guy, every rep. And so we're looking at that all the time, and that's what I hope that they put on tape. Their resume should show those three things. And I think that we're there. We got a lot of good leadership and got guys that are doing those things. So yeah, I'm fired up about that for sure.
What have you seen from a guy like Elijah Reed, and how does he help improve that corners room, knowing Scooby's a veteran guy, and how does that kind of room settle right now?
Yeah, I think that Elijah really helps that room. He comes into the room with a lot of experience, and he's an upperclassman. He provides depth, and he provides a wealth of knowledge to the room. I think he gives us as coaches a comfort that, hey, we've got a guy that's been in the fire, and it's nice to see. And you couldn't ask for a better kid. I mean, he's a workhorse, and he plays hard, he plays smart, and he does it with great technique. Absolutely.
Devin Dampier has said that you've been throwing a lot at him. Curious from your perspective, as a defensive coordinator, how does he kind of help test and stress your defense?
And Devin can create some problems quickly for a defense. That is because the guy with the ball that touches the ball every time, if he's a playmaker like Devin is, then you as a defense coordinator, you might think you have him, but in actuality you don't. And that's one of the downsides with always going against your offense in fall camp is that you're trying to keep your quarterback healthy and staying away from him, and you got 11 guys that are trying to get at him. And so it's tough. It's always a fine line for sure, is how much you can put on a quarterback, but he creates a lot of problems for us. And you'll have guys that think that they're sacking him. I've seen Devin Lloyd get out of stuff that way worse than what we're throwing at him. So it's fun to go against him. It's kind of a little chess match and a battle between us, as far as just different looks that we're trying to give him and pressures and seeing how he handles it. But I would say in fall camp he's done a fantastic job.
I asked Coach Odom just about tackling with the safeties and how he says you guys are making strides, but from your vantage point as defense as a whole, how has progress been on the tackling front?
Yeah, I think, you got to be very careful going into a season like this, as all teams are, of how much you can tackle, and you definitely want to get, your exposure to tackling, and we've done that up to this point. Is it perfect? It's never perfect, but I feel comfortable going into our first opponent that, hey, we've tackled enough, and we've got some guys that need to continue to work on some things, and we account for that in our individuals and things throughout practice that we can help with that. But tackling is always, especially early in the season, it's always something that's in the forefront of your mind for sure.
From where the run defense was from the last regular season game last year to the start of fall camp, where do you think some of the biggest improvements have been throughout camp?
Yeah, I think it's been a concentrated focus on it. Like you said, we're coming off of last year. We had a few games there late in the season that was not up to standard and where we are used to being as a Utah defense. And so just a concentrated effort on it and making sure that guys fully understand why and how we were getting beat in some of those schemes and making sure that, we're accounting for that. And then going against our offense, they do a great job running the ball. And if we can stop them in practice running the ball, then feeling comfortable that we can do it against anybody. So that'll be definitely something as we continue from the start all the way through the season that is a concentrated focus.
Usually last year you had an offense that scored a lot of points, and usually that means that the defense gets a little bit more reps. I'm just curious, from a depth perspective, what do the rotations look like if it's a similar setup this year where the offense is scoring a lot of points, and how do you kind of go through that as defensive coordinator? Yeah,
you definitely want to get the guys that deserve to be on the field, that your better players and stuff like that. At the same time, if you're up a lot on an opponent and you can build a foundation, for players, you definitely want to take advantage of that as well. And we have a lot of really good young players where we can get them on the field and start getting them that experience. And that's how you prolong your program, is by getting young players experience, get them on the field, give them that exposure. And the hopes is that we are up by a lot. And many times, and we can get some of those young guys on the field.
Last one from Josh. Morgan and a lot of players have talked about just the versatility in the secondary, how these guys can mix and match and play wherever. How much does that afford you as a defensive coordinator to kind of play around with them or disguise or do different things that maybe you might not have been able to do in the past?
Yeah, it's an awesome utility knife, as I call it. The ability to take one individual and have them do multiple things. And we have that in the safety position. We've got a lot of guys on our defense that can do that, not only, in that safety position, but we got linebackers that can do things from the defensive line front and vice versa. So we've been very strategic in how we do that, and having guys like our safeties be able to come down and do some different things in coverage has definitely helped us. And it allows you to be a lot more creative as a defensive coordinator, just finding ways to utilize, players that can do multiple things for sure.
There's Utah defensive coordinator Colton Swan. We'll take a break. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
News update. This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NFL.
I am shocked. I feel awful for the fans of the Cleveland Browns. I have no idea how you could witness what you witnessed in that press conference and it not be a part of your evaluation and decision. I think the world of Todd Monken. I think he's a great coach. I have no idea how they can make this decision. The performance this past Saturday by Swan was not good. It was candidly very poor. To have him have that interaction and make the comments that he made in a town, in a city, in a football fan base and franchise like Cleveland, And to sit there and be like, don't boo me, and it's more than just performance, the tone-deaf element of that, and then to name him the starting quarterback less than 48 hours out of it, I truly, truly feel awful for that fan base.
That's ESPN's Dan Orlovsky on Deshaun Watson named the starting quarterback in Cleveland.
Well, sure. Orlovsky has the freedom to say that. Others don't.
Well, he said it. Now, the question is, do they have a starting quarterback there, or is it a bad pick no matter what? Do they go with Sanders? Are they going to flounder? If they go with Watson, are they going to flounder? Well, do they just have to get through this year and get to next year's draft to find their starting quarterback?
I don't know about next year's draft. What makes you think next year's draft is their starting quarterback? There's no guarantee that any quarterback in the draft next year is going to be a starting quarterback.
I think it's considered a pretty deep quarterback.
I know, and I'm
pretty
gonna take
deep
a drink
quarterback
every
draft.
time you tell me that, but it's considered that it's not is. It's
okay,
considered.
well, they don't have a starting quarterback on their roster now. Both guys are flawed. I would take a shot with Sanders and see what he's got. I don't think Watson's the guy. I don't think he's going to be the guy for anybody. Sanders, you can make an argument. Maybe he can be a starter. More likely he's a backup. Maybe plays his way out of the league. But find out what you got. Give him a long run of games.
Okay.
Now, also, there's a decent chance neither one of these guys is good enough and that they're going to play both quarterbacks over the course of the season. It's not really going to work out for either one of them. So what are we even arguing about right now? It goes back to, do they have a guy on their roster?
I mean, they drafted 2 last year.
I know, and had everybody scratching their heads. But one of those guys is Sanders, and give him a shot. There have been times it looked okay. Does he just need to play a little more?
At times, he'll get his chance. Everybody gets your chance.
Watson has said he regrets the fan comments. So, for whatever that is
he's
worth.
human and he made a mistake. Who knew?
Actually, there you go. Mike McCarthy says the Steelers will stay in the AFC North. Says the Steelers are in an impasse with Joey Porter. So, got to figure that out. Cardinals activated edge rusher Josh Sweat. All these stories, all these headlines about guys getting healthy. Here's a guy ready to go. He'd been on the physically unable to perform list, and now he's ready to play.
I know, and I went to the gym at 2 o'clock and wanted to hear some Marte, and they thought that was the top story. I mean, who the heck is this guy?
And there's a study out that shows at least 25% of NFL players could develop CTE. It is couched with could, but for people who are wondering how much progress they're making the game safer for players, now you have this study. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
We have, made a decision to recruit some kids around the country. And, through these multiple injunctions around the country, which this is not a first time, and in college sports for a while, a group of players were granted a 5th year of eligibility around the country in multiple sports. Through them winning their injunction and entry into the portal, they're available to recruit. And so ourselves, like many places around the country, are recruiting them. And at the end of the day, because of these rulings, they're either going to play for you or they're going to play somewhere else around the country. So we've made a decision to recruit them, like probably most people are.
I love the clearing of the throat. Here comes the hard part.
We
made a decision.
We made a decision. They're going to pay me huge money. We're going to pay our kids huge money, and we want to win as many games as we can. Don't couch it because Johnny across the street is doing it. Therefore, I get to do it. So if Johnny across the street plays in the traffic, that means you got to play in the traffic? I mean, come on. It's the Sorsby thing. We want to win. We want to win at virtually any and all costs, and this is what we're going to do. And if you don't like it, screw you.
The SEC putting out a statement about pro athletes should not return to college competition. They could pass a rule. They could do that, but they haven't done that yet. Maybe it's coming up.
And their basketball team has signed this Luis kid who last played at St. John's in 25, not 26, 25, and he will be 24 years old in November, and he was Big East Player of the Year for St. John's under Patino. And, yeah, they want to win at all costs. Just say it. I think the public gets insulted when we all know what the reason is, but yet you won't say it. And, we're magnanimous. He won his court case, and so it's our obligation to help this young man or young woman, and we're going to do everything in our power. And he has a gambling, and we're going to be there for him. I haven't heard Texas Tech in weeks say we're going to be there for him. As long as he's there for us, we're going to be there for him, and he can help us win games. We're going to be there for him. But if he sucked, get out of here. I want nothing to do with you. I'm not going to cut somebody to take you on, but you're really good? Yeah, hey, Joe, bring in your playbook. Sucks for you, you're gone. McGiven doesn't talk about that part of it, about, sure, you can add 50 guys if you want. What happened to the other 50 guys who've been working out since January? They're going to go play intramurals, buddy? I mean, what are they going to do? Just say it. He's better than the guys we have and gives us a better chance to win. Family on 3. F off. I mean, it's a joke, but don't act like it's a serious thing. Just tell us flat out.
Nice little detail coming out of Ole Miss. The Ole Miss had the FBI sweep for bugs for listening devices after Lane Kiffin's exit for LSU.
Just pest control. Why do you got to get the FBI involved?
You don't know him like I knew him. Great quote. Tennessee's going with a true freshman at quarterback. They give the job to Faison Brandon. Transfer in Philo's the starting quarterback at Florida. Aiden Childs, the starter at Northwestern. We must be getting close to games, PK.
Just when I thought he'd fall in love with Tennessee.
Sing it.
It's a beautiful song. You're lucky I told you. Don't you feel hip now?
I do. It's everywhere. It's like you're thinking about, country is crossed over and it's not old school divisions. And the song came on, and I can't remember what station it was, but it was totally a station playing the hits. It wasn't a, station branding itself country. It's everywhere.
She's hot.
Tennessee. All right, DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
Everyone's wondering what's going to happen. There's 5 guys in Philly who need the basketball, who could shoot, who could score. VJ Edgecombe says he's good with a potentially reduced role in Philadelphia. I just want to win.
Second-year player. He has no status.
Yeah, there it is. Figure he and LeBron are the 2 guys who are more likely to take a backseat when necessary. Well, I mean, given guys not playing, and in Kim Beat's case, maybe only playing half the games, yeah, they may not have to. They may not say they need them to go out and get their 15 FGAs.
Just win. Who cares? I mean, they're not the first team that's had that. There's plenty of teams who had 5 guys who want the ball or think they're good enough to score. I want everybody to want the ball, but not from a selfish standpoint, just because of a confidence standpoint. And then you make the play as the play unfolds. That's what winning hoop is about.
Portland Shaden Sharp's going to miss 6 months, a meniscus tear in his knee. So setback for him. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
On a 3-2. Smoked. Drilled. Cal Raleigh leaves the yard for the second time tonight. Oh, Young swats this out to right field. Harper watches it fly out of here. Cal Raleigh and Cole Young back to back.
Barrel to it all.
Oh, man. A missile. Julio. 3-run laser to left.
Cal Raleigh hitting 3. Count them, 3 home runs. Seattle 5 in the first. They go on to beat Philly 9-2. Mariners get the big win, and Raleigh is the hero, driving in 4 runs in the game. Diamondbacks get shut out. Padres losing extra innings, so no real change there in the wild card race in the National League. Another day clicks by. Diamondbacks getting shut out 7-0. They do think that they might be getting Ketel Marte back in the lineup next week. Got any hopes that that's going to get all worked out, PK?
It's too late. He's going to be traded or let go in the offseason. So they can put a Band-Aid on a bleeding body. And his mother got in a car wreck and died over in the Dominican a few years back, and maybe that's part of the spiral.
Padres lost to the Pirates 3-2 in 12 innings, left the bases loaded a couple times, had a little party to introduce the new owners in San Diego. It's a family investment in the Padres. But the Pirates spoil things and walk away with the win. Rob Manfred, amid Major League Baseball talk, says, we want to play in 2027.
No way. I can't believe it.
Empty words, PK, or a sign of hope?
Of course he wants to play. Why wouldn't he? Everybody wants to play. Both sides who hate each other want to play.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag BYU.
Jackson Kohler still currently eligible to play for BYU this year because he was part of a separate non-federal injunction at the state level in California that granted him a temporary restraining order and a 5th season of eligibility and a window for entering the transfer portal. Some of the fifth-year players got shut down by a recent court decision.
Makes
Apparently,
sense.
Kohler somehow isn't impacted by that because of another decision.
Oh, yeah.
I don't begin to understand it, but yeah, there it is.
I think you begin. As you get deeper into it, you don't.
I get to the middle and I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end. I lose the plot pretty early.
Well, there is no end yet.
Okay, good. I'm safe there. Because there will be something else coming. We don't know what it is, but it'll be out there. Good for the Cougars who need another big. So at least for now, they've got Kohler. DJ PK.
Hashtag Utah.
I think our ability to mix and match personnel and formation to attack people some different ways that way. Guys have shown proficiency in being able to execute different things with our schemes and with our presentation. So I like the direction that's headed. I like where we're headed culturally in terms of just the effort that they play with and the physicality that they play with. I think that's come a long ways as well. His playmaking ability, coupled with the progress that he's made as a leader, as a decision maker, his processing within the offense, all those kind of things I'm really anxious to see it all come to fruition.
That's the offensive coordinator, Kevin McGiven, on the Utes and what he's seen from the offense and Devin Dampier.
So he has anxiety?
Don't you always have anxiety in August?
No. This is the time not to have it. He's eager to see it all.
Aha!
He's not anxious.
Jordan Gross believes Utah has developed approximately 10 offensive linemen it can trust.
Why not 15?
Because he doesn't have that many. 10's the number. I did hear Kevin McGiven use the word playmakers with a lot of confidence.
Oh,
who are the difference makers? Who are going to make plays?
They got 10, won't even see the field. That's how deep they are with playmakers. This is the best receiver core ever. Not just at Utah. I'm talking ever.
Ever?
Uh-huh.
Ever.
Did
in the
wax in your ears?
history? Yes, I do. I do, as a matter of fact. Have to have that addressed.
Well, how come you heard me that time?
I had it addressed. Had a medical procedure there just in 2.5 seconds. As far as the basketball, the Running Utes signee Noam Yakov is ineligible for the upcoming season due to NCAA ruling. Running Utes had Northern Iowa guard Trey Campbell, who's been cleared to practice with the team. He's pursuing a 5th year of eligibility.
Well, why not get a Utah judge?
As the roster turns. An excellent
to get,
question.
wherever the heck this kid is.
An excellent question.
Get him in there.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah State.
Fifth-year players everywhere. Safety Bryson Taylor at Utah State. Caught up amid the NCAA's legal battle over fifth-year eligibility. Not clear if he's going to be able to play.
Let's get a Logan Judge.
See? Work for Texas Tech.
Preston, Idaho. They're all the same.
No. Preston, Idaho. That could be a Bengal. You could want to see the Aggies shut down.
Oh, no. That's way too far.
Don't trust the Preston judges.
If he's really good, he'd go to Boise.
Good point. You got me there. We did not discuss Dallin Hall yesterday. BYU guard, former BYU guard, went to Virginia going to Utah State. Aggies, bringing him home, PK. Bring him home.
Yeah, Scotty was, I was talking about it with him yesterday in the hallway. Oh, Sweet 16, man. We got Dallin Hall. I like the kid. I like the kid's toughness. He's one of these kids that adds to a team that goes well beyond the box score. His mindset is just lay it out there, give you everything, guard you as hard as you can, play as hard as you can. I don't think he's going to be a superstar. He's not going to be all Packer, but he's going to be something that can help any team. Whatever team he's on, he brings an element that every team needs.
And a guard, speaking of things that don't show up in the box score, the chance to, the opportunity to organize an offense, not turn it over, get you into a good play at a key point in the game. Love the veteran guards who've been through battles, had failures, had success. Figure they're more likely to get it right when a big game's on the line.
I just like his toughness.
That's what's trending. This segment sponsored by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Frank Dolce coming up to talk Utah football at 8 o'clock. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We got the question of the day next. Stay with us.
Utah's best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth. Here we go. From the guys who have been there for all the biggest moments in Utah sports history. You're listening to DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The KSL Sports Zone at Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest. Question up on our Facebook page, as fresh as the most recent round of talk shows and podcasts. Joel Klatt predicts Texas Tech will beat BYU in the Big 12 title game again this season. Would that make BYU's season a disappointment? Vernon, Joel Klatt can shove it. BYU's not playing Texas Tech. I think it'll be Houston, Arizona, or Utah.
Well, it's even worse. Houston versus Arizona? Or is he saying BYU will play Houston or Arizona?
He's saying Texas Tech will play Houston or Arizona or Utah.
Oh, okay.
And he is, I believe I'm going to click on this and find out he might be a Ute. Well, a lot of Santa stuff. Hard to tell.
Well, that would be even worse if they did not make it. If you think that not making the playoff makes the season a disappointment.
Dave, I'd love to see Joe Klatt eat some crow. Because you don't cash in on all your preseason predictions. You eat crow?
Yeah.
Okay. Crow it is.
It's all metaphoric.
Serve it up.
Sure. You don't think players and teams and fans use preseason slights if they're perceived as motivation?
I think most of us forget 3 months later. I think this stuff is
saying 3 months later,
fun
it's
at the
now.
time. Yeah, but we don't have the answer now. By the time we have the answer, I
no
think
kidding.
Most of us
If we have the answer, then it's not a prediction. Duh.
By the time we have the answer, I think people forget the prediction.
No. Heck no.
Mark says false. Cougs win. He believes BYU will get it done.
Well, rather than focus on the prediction, is the season a disappointment if they do not make the playoff?
Jared has nuance and context to his answer. He says it all depends on how the regular season shakes out. Looking right now, yes, they got to get that Big 12 title. But if they're 12-0, they lose the title game and make the playoff, it's still a successful season. No playoff, no title, that's a repeat of 2025. Which I believe he's saying would be a disappointment to have a repeat. There are other paths to the playoff, or at
well,
least
it's
one other
hard
path
to
the
call out a
playoff.
disappointment if they go 12-0.
Right.
But is that possible? We're going to have two 12-0 teams?
Seems unlikely, but it's certainly possible since they're not playing each other. And you look at Tech's schedule. I mean, could it happen? Sure. I mean, that BYU's got to win a couple of enormous games, but
who doesn't?
Right. I mean, it's pretty unlikely. I mean, you look around and it just doesn't seem to happen.
I mean, you look at their schedule, but yet we wouldn't say someone eats crow on a prediction. Your schedule, your forecast of their schedule is nothing but a prediction.
Yeah.
So it holds just as much weight, but somehow you think it holds more weight. It doesn't.
I think we are expected to make predictions. It's what people do to pass the time in August. But I think the vast majority of people know there's way too many variables to think you're going to get all these right. And if you do, you're probably a little on the lucky side or a lot on the lucky side.
So that's why I don't get into the schedule. But somehow when we talk about the schedule, it's not viewed as a prediction. It's viewed as a fact. When the reality is, it is nothing more than another prediction.
It's another prediction, right. And for Texas Tech, the prediction is you don't play either of the locals. You're not playing BYU. You're not playing Utah. And they don't have a marquee non-conference game.
Says who?
Says people making predictions about the season.
That's all they are.
Yep.
Now, I can buy the non-conference of Abilene Christian and Oregon State and Sam Houston. Okay, but
you don't know about the rest of the league. And maybe Houston is awesome. Maybe Oklahoma State's going to have lightning in a bottle and have a great year. You're right. These predictions could be wrong.
Right.
Could be your Devils. Who's to say? Who knows? TCU's on their schedule. A bunch of teams could take off.
So that's why I don't say that they have a lousy schedule. And you didn't even mention Arizona.
I did not.
Which could be
another one.
A top 10 team in the country for all we know. So stop saying their schedule.
Their schedule.
Because it just, there's no meaning to it.
Just on the face of it, we would both pick against anybody going 12-0, let alone two teams going 12-0.
Oh, I always do.
Right.
I never pick anybody to go undefeated. It's just too much. Some teams do it, obviously, but I wouldn't pick it. Things in football, what
crazy
a crazy
stuff
ball,
happens.
The way it bounces.
Yeah.
And injuries are such a significant factor in this sport, given the nature of people smacking each other every single play. I mean, injuries factor into everything, but you're going on probability level, and there's more probability level in this particular sport.
Mark opens up another path here. He says, in my opinion, if BYU beats Notre Dame and gets the Big 12 title game, they're getting into the playoffs no matter what. So the thought that an 11-2 team, say they go 11-1, they beat Notre Dame, but they lose a conference game somewhere, and they lose a conference title game at 11-2, and they've been left out with a couple of two-loss teams here the last 2 years. But Mark thinks this year that Notre Dame win and get them in. So there's another potential path.
There's plenty of paths. Every school has plenty of paths. But will they get it done? Sure, if you beat Notre Dame, and then if you beat this team, that team, name the teams. If you beat them, I like the more wins you have, the better chance you have. Who knew?
See? Joe Klatt predicting Texas Tech beating BYU again in the Big 12 title game. Would that make BYU's season a disappointment? And Jordan says no. That means they probably beat Utah to get to the Big 12 title game. And for Jordan wants a win in the rivalry game.
Yeah, but beating Utah, I mean, what? Why is that so special?
It's a rivalry game, and it matters to Jordan, I guess. I click on this. Jordan studied at Utah State University. So,
they've beaten him 3 years in a row.
And that, in Jordan's mind, makes them successful seasons. I get it's not enough for everybody, but it's enough for some people, and apparently Jordan's one of them.
So they can go 5-7 with a win over Utah, and that's a successful season.
That might be too much. He doesn't weigh in on that scenario.
He says if you beat Utah, I only go by the words he uses. As an aficionado of the language, that's what I go by.
I don't think a losing record will do it for most people. So then you got them at 5-7.
All right, 6-6. Is that better for you?
It is better, but it's probably not good enough.
It's not what he says.
Kirk, yes, that would be a disappointment losing to Tech because the Cougars are supposed to win the national championship every year. Oh, Kirk, with the overstatement.
Just once. Something you have never done.
Never. Ever. Michael says, no, it's not a disappointment. It means they just fulfilled expectations.
Aren't expectations to go to the playoff?
I believe Michael does not believe that's the expectation. Might be the hope. But the expectation is it'll be Tech and all their money.
Sorry, well, I can't speak for Mike, but isn't that the whole idea of what Kalani's talking about?
Yes.
Because if he was talking about just having a repeat of last season or even the season before, then why bring up all this stuff that's caused so much conflict?
Yep.
And I'm talking to people about it yesterday and what they're doing with Santiago and what he has jurisdiction over, and is Kalani going to report to the VP and blah, 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 blah. If last season is the bar, well, then they have enough resources to reach that bar. So by their own acknowledgement, by him repeatedly talking about it here,
Kalani wants a conference title. Kalani wants a berth in the playoffs, and Kalani's going to want to win when he gets to the playoffs. I think that is something that you can pull from his public statements, not just during this summer camp here, but you can go back last spring, you can go back to that press conference in December. I think it's pretty consistent. He wants a conference title, he wants a spot in the playoffs, and then he wants to win once he gets there.
So they are talking more. They're not satisfied with, I would be satisfied with 12-2. Pretty good season to me if I'm a BYU fan. But I get you want more. Everybody wants more. But your realism of getting more has to factor in. And I'm not so sure that that's realistic, but that's what they're shooting for. They're talking about, if you give me more money, I will do this. I think they ought to just give more money, and then that puts them on notice. They gave you more money, big guy.
What are you doing with it?
What'd you do with it?
Right.
Yeah. So that's one way. You want to keep them quiet? Just give them the money. And then at the end, if you don't go, then, well, you just wasted our money. You give me back money.
Give me back my money.
I mean, that's what they should do.
Do you think a lot of this is built on the quote, which lives on and we quote all the time, we will not be outbid? That, I mean, I love the energy and I love the enthusiasm and I love the willingness to write big checks, but the fact is there's more energy, more enthusiasm, and bigger checks in other places, and you will be outbid.
No, because I think that was strictly for basketball,
hoops.
And that's the tension that he went and asked for more for an assistant, and they didn't give it to him, and then Kevin Young went and asked more for an assistant, and they gave it to him.
And there it is.
And they want to see, the football people want to see the financials from the basketball, and they're not seeing them. That's
the heart of the matter.
Yeah, yeah. And you didn't believe it? I don't care if you don't believe it. Don't believe it. I'm going to have this job until I don't want it anymore unless I come on here and drop a bunch of F-bombs.
Ew.
And I'm like you. I just reserve them for off air.
Nice.
People know I say them. For you, they think you don't.
Ha! Get out on a golf course with me, people.
Get out of the studio with you.
Yeah, the hallway's good enough.
So
playing through.
Yeah, you have 4 of them in a half a minute.
On a slow day.
So I think that's the problem. That's the essence of the problem here. And they were supposed to have a lunch-in with Kevin Young and haven't heard anything about it. And
might not be the best time to have a luncheon with Kevin Young in the media.
Yeah.
Could be a bunch of questions you'd rather not answer.
But Young,
he's had a couple of them the last couple summers.
Yeah, the first 2 years. This is classic Utah. I know a guy who is has a family member in Kevin Young's ward, so he tells me stuff.
All right.
Like the Kohler thing I told you last week is Tuesday, and I was going out of town, and they're going to get him. Oh, okay, great. And because he's told people, and that's part of the problem why they had to go on the Cougar board thing, is because the coaches in football heard that they were going to make a change at the top, and somebody told somebody, and somebody told somebody else, and they ran to the message board and put it out there, and that's how that thing blew up, if you're interested. And away you go, and they're going back and forth, taking shots at one another. So you got that out there. But, yeah, that's the issue. It's not – that quote was not made for football. It was made specifically for basketball. And that quote got back to those guys. And that's been a sticking point long before that quote was ever uttered. And then I wrote how I put it on there at KSL a good while back, and boy, I got lit up on that, how there's some racial component in there with a Polynesian coach and not being smart enough. And people don't want to hear that stuff because it stings, and it's not our way at the image-conscious university. Norm Chow had to deal with that. So it's out there. And you don't like it,
it's not
by
going
all means, take as many shots at me as you want.
And it's not going away.
I'm fine with it. But these are all things that I've been told repeatedly over years. So that's the problem there. And they got to get these guys in a room and settle this thing. But as I understand it, I was also told that Brian and Kalani were on the practice field yesterday talking to each other. So maybe it is overblown to an extent.
Is there enough money to give both programs everything they want? Or is it there'll always be one more thing?
Well,
that's not the nature of it.
See, that's what I've been talking about for weeks. If you are trying to catch up, you're falling behind. It's not about catching up. It's about staying ahead. Simply catching up, by its definition, will force you to fall behind, because the other guy then, who you're trying to catch up to, is increasing it. And you got Cody Campbell saying, we're going to double down right after they get embarrassed by Oregon. So if that's the case, you're already falling behind. So what are you going to be able to do? What's the standard? If it's Texas Tech, no. I don't see it.
Because their 33 million is going to turn into 43.
You're not going to do it. I mean, LSU's going to have a guy on the basketball team who was signed by the Jazz to a two-way and didn't play last year in college. Now he's going to go back. He's going to be 24 years old a week into the season. That's what they're trying to do. Are you willing to do all of that? Or do you need to do all that? I mean, administration and Provo might be saying, man, we went 12-2. How much more do you want? And he wants more. And if, the good thing for them is if you don't get more and you don't get to the playoff, well, we didn't get more. What do you want from me? Whereas if you got more and you didn't get to the playoff, well, then it's on you. Right now, by Kalani saying what he's saying, he's putting it on the administration. Don't put it on me, right? He's said this multiple times. It's on them. They're not keeping the promises. I can only do so much. We've been charged with doing more with less. So I'm not saying he's doing this, but that's the perception that people could easily take. Wow, aren't we really good as coaches? Look at us. We're doing all this. We beat Utah 3 years in a row, and we're doing more with less. Aren't we something? Now, I'm not saying that's what he's trying to say, because I don't believe that's what he's trying to say, but that can be deducted or concluded, and if you got more and you didn't get over the hump, well, then it's on you.
So maybe he needs to be careful how he defines it. Don't ask for more. Say we have to catch Texas Tech. Because they could give you more. To your point, you could get $5 million more. But if Texas Tech gets $10 million more, well, now you're.
Well, but you're never going to battle them. And clearly, the Sorsby thing told you everything you needed to know, and that really wasn't about money. That was no matter what it looks like, what appearances there are, we are going to.
We don't care. Yeah, we don't care.
We're going to try to win as much as we possibly can. And we're going to take a kid who's gambled on games. But. It doesn't matter. I mean, he could have bet. They probably would have done it if he would have bet on his team to lose. Well, he didn't play in that game. He was just a red shirt.
The kid needs our help.
Yeah. They've already shown you which side of the line you're going to be on. And that is win at all costs.
So how quickly do they get to 40, 50, 60 million? Since it's all
quickly
costs.
As they need.
And they're billionaires.
Well, you don't bid against yourself.
Yes, but the Oregon game tells them they're still a long way away.
That's why I said they're going to double down.
They can't hang with
So
Oregon.
if they had a $20 million, that means $40 million if my math is correct.
And they were at 38 until Sorsby dropped them back to 33. Right?
And so if they'll continue next year and so forth. And just keep going until they get it. And then if they should get it, as Scotty Scheffler said, well, now what?
You have a parade, your phone blows up, and then as Pablo Mastroeni told us after he won a league title, it's like a week after it was all done, well, then everyone had texted him. They looked around like, what do I do now?
Right.
I guess I go back to the gym and turn the thing on the incline and start running on the treadmill. Get ready
Winning
for next
is
season.
the ultimate, but it's also overblown.
Because a week after you've done it, wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
Start again.
Unless you're like a Jordan or a Tom Brady and you've won.
And you do it
and a Bill
3
Russell.
times, 4 times, 5 times.
And so then you ascend to status that few have. And those are what we recognize as the GOAT and the GOAT. And so you could prance around and you have that. But now you're asking to achieve something even beyond simply winning. And do you think Jordan wakes up every day? Oh, I'm the GOAT. At some days, it's got to be, man, today's a boring day. Just like the rest of us.
Got to go to the golf course, and to make it exciting, got to put down a bet.
Yeah, but
and
you
find
can't do that
somebody
every single day.
No. You can after you sell the Hornets.
And then what you can, but you can't.
I know.
We're not talking financially able. Apparently you thought that was funny, but financial.
Well, you used to have something else to do. And you used to have something to do
at 8 o'clock at night, you ain't golfing. What are you doing then?
Rewatching your documentary, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
And in 10 years, what are you doing after that? So even that can we all have to live life. And if you're chasing after that, you're going to end up being empty. It's what Scheffler was talking about. And then you chase after stuff, and look at the stuff Tiger chased after.
And you end up happy. He didn't look happy when he stepped to that podium and started apologizing for everything. Yeah. He looked humiliated.
Right. So you got all that stuff there, and you just keep trying to. That's what it said yesterday. You got to enjoy the experience, enjoy the ride, and that's where the happiness is in. Not if the happiness is derived by a final score of a scoreboard athletic competition, you're going to be way more miserable than you're happy. I don't know why people would do that. But yet I know there's millions and trillions who do. Even as a kid, it never really made sense to me.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Frank Dolce talking Utah football at the top of the hour. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
Over 2 decades of sports radio dominance in Utah. My favorite. This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Win big this Wednesday on the KSL Sports Zone. It's a Win Tickets Wednesday. Tomorrow, this week, we've got Motley Crue with performances by Tesla and Extreme at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater, September 21st. Tickets on sale now, livenation.com. Get your tickets today and listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win.
This is Kenny, Somewhere With You, a great tune. I saw him in the Sphere. I saw the Eagles in the Sphere. Eagles tickets for the Sphere in January as they refuse to go away. A Friday night, I put my name in the queue. Now it seats like 18,500.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the queue. I was in the 43,000s. So I immediately got out of the queue.
Yeah, it didn't look like your odds were very good at that point. You need about 25,000 people to check out to open the door for you.
Yes.
I can see the math there. You're not good at math, but you nailed that. You nailed that problem.
See, I thought I would be smart.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got tickets in December. I'll be off December 11th, guys. Mark that down.
Mark it down.
It's a Friday, and I got tickets for that show. And I thought, well, because they went on and said that the year of 26 would be it, except it's not. So I thought, I'll go. And then they come out with 6 more shows in January, and they only do Fridays and Saturdays. And I thought, well, here's what I'll do. I'll get in the queue, turn around, put my other seats on sale, and go for free.
Sweet.
Because the seats I have right now, they're going for double as I
see what you're doing.
Check
Right.
out.
Yeah.
But then I got on 30 minutes before, and it was 43,000 people ahead of me. Plus, those seats were already going for double. So the price is going up. I mean, the basic.
No wonder the Eagles won't go away.
Yeah.
There's massive demand for the Eagles.
Shocking. As they push age 80, the core. They got Glenn Fry's son is in his 20s, and Vince Gill is pushing 70, not 80. But the other guys who've been in there forever, pushing 80. And they still keep adding shows and adding shows and adding shows. Man, it's amazing. So my idea didn't work.
Well, you gave it a shot, PK.
I could still sell it for double, but then I won't have any tickets. And then I'll have to buy them for double, so it's kind of a wash.
What would you do other than go to a Eagles concert? Got anything that's that much fun?
Yes.
That's satisfying?
But I can't say it.
Okay.
How about you, El Capitan? You speak Spanish?
I do speak Spanish, yeah.
So that's right. If you want to call, you don't call him Captain. It's a Capitan. If he's going to speak Spanish, acknowledge his bilinguality.
A Capitan.
How'd you learn Spanish?
It was actually I grew up learning it. It was actually I learned Spanish before I learned English.
And I thought you suck at English.
Yeah, it came later.
Just kidding. So you got to call the kid El Capitan.
There's El Capitan high school in our district. We played them. El Capitan.
Are you glad you had that information, Alex?
It is. It's very useful information.
Do you ever stare? Do you ever stare at the? Well, now that you're El Capitan, you should stare at that massive granite face that people scale in Yosemite there on the left side of the valley. So you
should
that
stare
face.
at it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's massive.
Either that or just look at a picture.
No, stare at it. Stare at it. Go to the tunnel view, look out, get the lawn chair, put your feet up on that little rock wall, just stare at it. Meditate.
December 11th, I'll probably watch the Mammoth or hockey. The Jazz or hockey. And I just said the same thing twice.
I wonder what you're getting at there.
There's a good chance that either one will be playing, if not both. You can go look that up. December 11th is a Friday. They'll be at the Sphere. Sphere's fun. It's different. It's unique.
What do the Eagles put behind them while they're? What kind of video? Because that's the whole point, right? Is to have some kind of video montage and
the screen,
Yeah.
which is enormous because there's no seats behind them. So it starts at their feet, and it's like amphitheater style, obviously, and goes way the freak up there. And they have a whatever. I mean, one of their songs, they were like the Southern California sound when they came out, right? And so they have a drone. You're going over the Hollywood sign. We've all seen that.
Yeah.
And so then you peer over into the San Fernando Valley.
Sure.
Did you ever go to Disneyland? Did you do Soaring Over America?
I didn't do that. That's in that California Adventure Park.
It is, yeah.
No, I haven't done that.
Well, on that one, it takes you through California, right? So
Sure.
you're sitting there like in a Ferris wheel type seats, and they go to Palm Springs, right? And so you're soaring over a golf course, and it gets a little low, and a guy swings. Palm Springs is known for its golf courses, right?
Sure.
And the beautiful views in the winter and all that stuff. And so the ball off a drive starts to rise, and for a second there, feels like it's coming right at you.
Okay.
That type of thing. As the ball rises. Yeah. So like a 3D experience. Would that make sense?
Yeah, I just wondered, I get that whole thing. It's a combination of there are rides. There's a ride at Universal that does that where stuff's flying by you. At Universal Studios. Forget what it is. I just know it made me nauseous, man. I got up, man. My legs were rubbery when that was over.
Yeah, that's a little more right in your face. This is more of a little bit of a distance. So I don't
usually
think
tries to set
you do
mood.
get a feel of that a little bit. Yeah, there's Disneyland ride where you feel like you're in a spaceship or something because it's jerking and you feel like you're moving
But you're really sitting in a box and it's
Right.
rocking left to right and forward to backwards. Star Tours, I think that one is.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so there's stuff like that. They take you. You're in a car weaving in and out of traffic. In downtown, so you got the Pantages Theater, if you know where that is, on your left.
So it's all this California themed stuff.
A lot of it, yeah. And it's just cool. It's different. What I liked is, you wait. They say they're going to start at 8:30, and that's the great thing about going to concerts with old people.
They really start at 8:30.
Yeah, they want to be in bed.
Don't hold out till 9:45.
Right. I mean, I saw Eric Church across the street, and it's 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Suck, guy. Get up there. Play your tunes and let me go home. Unfortunately, it was a Saturday, so it wasn't too bad. But they have like a big blimp in the sky. And, like the blimp would have a marquee. And it starts, all of a sudden, it appears on the screen above you, way up there. And it starts the 2 minutes. And so they have a countdown. And so 2 minutes. And it's like you're in Times Square, Hey, 10, 9, 8, and then boom, there they are.
It's a show.
Yeah.
Build the entertainment factor in, build the anticipation. All you really do is have a clock running.
I know.
But whatever works.
But the anticipation of now I know. And it's going to start right on time, just like they said. And they don't have any warm-up band or any of that stuff. And everybody's reaching a fever pitch, especially now because you keep thinking, well, this is going to be the last time until they add 7 more shows or 8 more shows. They'll always add an even number because they always do Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, but this is it. We're all done.
I
want to go be a grandpa. I saw the interview. You told me about it, and I went to look for it. Yeah, I want to be a grandpa. I'm like, well, that makes sense. But I did tell you at the time, it's like, why do you have to stop? Because you get to scale back. It's on your own terms. So if you just want to play...
You got to stop some point.
If you want to play 10 weekends and just play Friday, Saturday, 20 shows, you're the Eagles. People will pay for the 20 shows.
Apparently.
Yeah.
And as I was 43,000 in an 18,000 seat venue.
Figure out what weekend the weather's going to be good in Vegas and schedule it and rent a whole floor and take all the grandkids and let them go
Well,
to
I
the
don't have
pool.
grandkids.
No, him.
Oh.
Henley, let them go to the pool.
I
or
would
whatever.
love to rent a whole floor.
Take a mini golfing, whatever. Turn in a little vacation. All right, I'm going to go pay for the whole thing
The
now.
company
2
would give
hours.
me more money because I do more with less than most people.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Frank Dolce is next. The Utes. The questions. Does Frank have the answers? What are his expectations? We'll get to that next. Stay with us.
Nobody brings you better coverage of the teams you're passionate about than these guys.
Try some more.
This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're joined once again by Frank Dolce. He's going to join us every week throughout the year to talk Utah football. Frank, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Frank.
It feels like this is just. Did it feel like football season just ended?
No. No, it feels
I know
like it's
it
been
doesn't.
a very long time.
It really doesn't.
It feels like
it's been a long time, and it's been a long and hot summer.
And it has. And it feels like camp's been going on forever. I feel like
forever. We've
talked about almost everything, and I'd really like to see a game, and that'll give us new stuff to talk about.
Right. I know. The truth is, I don't really like all the preseason stuff. I mean, I guess I like to generally know who's coming back and kind of which position groups need some work and which people feel good about. But I don't do I'm not great at the speculation stuff. I need a few games of data to really feel like I'm making commentary that's meaningful.
What I find interesting, if the coordinator changes, if you have a good season, they got on the same page. But if you have a crappy season, well, they change coordinators. And so what is really the truth? Because obviously Utah is changing coordinators, and for Dampier, it's his guy. Losing Beck, what's his guy, right? They made an offense click at two different spots at a high level, and now McGiven, well, it's not that big of a deal. But yet, if we get to November and they've lost 5 games, it'll be a big deal. I want to know where the truth is on that. Well said.
I think the truth. Thank you. I think the truth is somewhere. The truth might be somewhere else with this team because of what's happening up front, and I think that's the critical piece. But as far as Dampier and McGiven go, I just think it's going. I'll judge it based on the utilization, I guess. We keep hearing about the great wide receiver room at Utah, and I don't know. Like I said, speculation is my thing. Maybe that's a thing this year. Maybe it's not. But Dampier and a great wide receiver room doesn't seem like an exact match to me. Maybe Ficklin is the guy with a really good receiver room, but as well as Dampier did last year, and some of the critical completions that he made, I mean that seemed to be the thing, is he made a throw and he made a play in a really critical situation. But I just don't. He's not like, he doesn't throw the ball downfield. That's not his strength. So I think it'll be based on utilization. How is Dampier able to be productive in the McGiven offense? So I'm curious to see how this. I don't think it's going to be throwing the ball downfield, and that could be completely wrong. But I'll be interested to see how that unfolds in these scenarios. Like, we know what Dampier is capable of. And if he falters significantly this year, then I would probably lean more on, well, maybe the coordinator's not putting him in the right situations.
I thought he was good throwing short and medium range passes. You're right about the deep ball, and I always thought there'd be a chance to throw a deep ball if he threw it earlier, because he's got to put air under it, right?
Yeah.
If you take a 5 or 7 step drop and you wait until the guy's 20, 30 yards downfield to throw the ball, it's going to be underthrown. He doesn't have the kind of arm to throw a dart out there 50 yards. But if it's a three-step drop and you throw it early and you throw it to a point downfield, maybe that could work. But there's a lot of big plays made in the passing game with medium-range throws if guys can run after the catch. I mean,
No doubt.
We didn't say this about Cam Rising, right? But if you take one long Cam Rising touchdown pass, most people would say, oh, he threw a crossing route to Money Parks and USC had like 6 defenders take bad angles, and it went for a touchdown, right? That was a medium throw. That's a throw Dampier can make and did make. And you got a guy.
Absolutely.
You got to have guys who can run. I just think with new coaches, it's a new head coach, it's a new offensive coordinator, it's a new receivers coach. If they're ever going to change what they have at wide receiver, it seems like now to be the time with a bunch of new coaches evaluating and new priorities from the coaches. And you've got an offense coordinator who brought in 2 receivers from the 2 schools he was at previously, and a receivers coach in Bumpus brings a guy in from Mississippi State. They're bringing in guys they know. There's no guesswork here. They've seen how they practice, seen how they watch film, see how they play in games. And if they don't get it right now, we should just stop talking about receivers forever. I mean, forget it. Never mind.
Forever.
Forever.
I think you're right. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is a downfield passing game doesn't seem to be a good match. Like he's not gonna throw seam route 15, 20 yards downfield or a go route or maybe even a deep crossing route. I don't know. But if it's a lot of underneath stuff, isolating receivers, crossing routes, utilizing tight ends, even backs out of the backfield.
Pick plays.
I think all of that fits really well with Dampier's skill set. And then you mix into that his ability to extend a play and run the ball and all of those things. I think there's a good chance this could be a highly effective. I really like the running back group. I mean, I think there's a good chance in the offensive backfield this could be a really productive offense. But it still goes back to what's happening up front, how that unit's going to come together.
Yeah, for sure. They've got to get that offensive line to be productive. And if it is, I see no reason why minimally it's not as good as I'm talking about the offense in general, not as good as it was it should be as good, is what I'm trying to say, as last year. I'm expecting it to be better because he's got another year experience. Ficklen's got another year of experience. They're not, I don't care what they can pump up the receivers all they want. Good for them. It doesn't really matter to me because as long as you get in the end zone, who cares? This is not going to be an offense that is known as a passing offense. If you're doing that, you're undercutting Dampier's overall skill level, and his skill level is extremely high with his ability to make plays, and the same with Ficklin. So I would suspect, I wouldn't say, well, if they don't do it this year, they're never going to do it, because I don't expect them to do it, be pass heavy. They would be silly to be pass heavy when you have those types of explosive runners and Parker, who is very good himself. So that's what you're going to do. I would expect to see more of the same, but maybe at a little bit of a higher level, and maybe that just boils down to Dampier staying healthy. And if that's the case, the offense should be very productive, but it's not going to have a bunch of 350-yard passing games.
No, I don't think so either. That is certainly a possibility. That could happen. I mean, 350-yard passing game, but I don't suspect that to be what this offense will be about this year. I'm also curious about Dampier and Ficklin and how you appropriately manage playing time for both of those guys. And I've talked about it. I know you guys have talked about it. A 2-quarterback system and the challenges associated with that. But it's really, I think it's really hard to keep a guy like Ficklin off the field for a significant amount of time. So I'm interested to see how Coach McGiven manages that piece of the game.
I'm really intrigued by that too. I don't have any good answers to that, but Ficklin seems, in everything he says, he seems to really get it and seems to like the plan. He gets the plan. He seems to like the plan. He seems very content when he speaks. I mean, we hear so much of the other stuff, and I just don't hear any of that out of him. And I'm pretty sure if that's what he wanted to get out there, he would figure out how to get it out there. So I'm with you. I can't explain it, but it seems to be working for the two of them.
The explanation is just go look at 25. The film from 25. Why wouldn't you do the same thing? It worked. Why would you change something that doesn't work? That is working.
I think the thought is he wants to be on the field more and do more. And maybe he doesn't. Maybe that's
he's got to beat him out or
that's the
transfer,
mistake.
and he chose not to.
Right.
So I don't know why that thinking is.
Well, that's how I would be thinking, is I want to be on the field.
Yeah.
I want to be on the field more. And maybe it is a situation where he's content. Like he's content to get 10, 15 plays during a game maybe. And who knows, maybe they're going to utilize him in other ways. I mean, he lined up in different position groups last year. Ficklin did. So did Dampier. And so maybe that's a way to get around it. But I would just suspect, unless Ficklin is just saying, look, I know this is going to be a year where I'm limited in action, but I know I'm going to be the guy next year, and I can manage that, and I can play here for a couple more years as a full-time guy, and that'd be great. Maybe that's his mindset.
I mean, the game plan is already there. I don't see why you would mess with it. They won 11 ball games with that game plan and lost one game on the road by 3 points, where they couldn't convert some fourth downs, and the coach decided not to go for field goals. And I realize we can second guess all we want, but that's the reality of it. So continue what you do, just do it at a higher level. And I think it boils down to what you said, Frank, that the receivers are not going to be any worse than they were last year. Wayshawn Parker is not going to be any worse, barring injury, of course not, and hopefully that's not the case. And Ficklin and Dampier are not going to be any worse. At minimum, they're all going to be as good. You can argue they're going to be better, and then it boils down to the guys up front because they're the only ones who are different.
Yeah, I really think that's the case. It boils down to what happens up front. So, and PK, I don't know if I have not recognized this in the past, but it seems like you are very optimistic about this team this year, or the offensive side of the ball this year.
I see no reason not to be. If the offensive line, and Jordan Gross is telling us they're 10 deep, and they've got guys. The thing about it is they didn't have a bunch of guys just stand over on the sideline. They've got so many snaps. I saw the D News did a piece on it, and I saw it of the amount of snaps that these kids coming in this year got. And we know that the first rounders didn't play in the bowl game, and that bowl game sitting in the press box was the best that I've seen Dampier play. And, well, yeah, okay. That they just ran over and through and by and every which way to beat Nebraska. Their offense literally did it all. By air, by ground,
land, and by sea.
By sea,
I mean,
yes.
And by sea. No, it did. It rained a lot during the SU-Colorado games, and it still floated their boats. So
and I've got sea on my mind because I spent last week in the South Bay, Frank, and it was glorious. So, yes, I rode the waves for 4 days in a row, and it was awesome. So, yes, they can beat you by sea, too.
It is an amazing. That's the one thing that I really miss from California. Utah's an amazing place, but if Utah had, here's what I would say: if Utah had a beach like the South Bay, and if it had 4 to 6 months of fall, it would be the perfect place.
Yeah, there'd be 25 million people here.
I was going to say, if Utah had a beach, there'd be 50 million people here, and you'd be complaining about the traffic just like you do in L.A. It's great, but I can't go anywhere.
I'd be calling you from Montana saying, if Montana
had a beach,
right.
Yeah, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, I think it's an interesting I think this is an interesting time for Utah football. There's certainly a lot of excitement about the program right now. I think that kind of excitement can carry you to a few wins, and then we'll see how the team settles into the middle of the season. If they get off to a quick start,
which I think they will.
The schedule lines up that way for sure.
Yeah.
So I would be optimistic about this team, but I think there's some question marks certainly that have to be answered that I just don't think we'll know until no one will know until we're a few games in. And that all of those things to me hinge around the 5 guys up front. I'm really interested to see how Jordan Gross does and how he puts that offensive unit together. It feels like the offensive line has been kind of a slow starter for Utah in the last few years, and then they seem to get rolling along. And this would building a new unit lends itself to that. Maybe a slow start, but we'll see how they put it together.
Did you interact a lot? I know Alex Gerke was up there, but I don't know the timeline with when you were there.
Yeah,
because he's back as an analyst and Gross is the coach.
Yeah.
And to me, it seems like those two aren't going to mess that up. I mean, they aren't. I mean, between the two of them, they know what they're doing. It's an extra pair of eyes on that. And they've recruited well. It's like PK said, they were missing their star offensive lineman against Nebraska and had to run a bunch of guys out there, and 44 points. They went up and down the field on them all day. Didn't look like they were getting pushed very hard there. I get that they lost 2 first-rounders, so you've got to take the rebuild and you got to take it seriously. But at the same time, it seems very doable.
Well, I know Jordan Gross as a player wasn't your typical, or what you think of maybe as your typical offensive lineman. He was, super thoughtful about that position, just worked like crazy on his technique. I think that was one of the things. He was so big and powerful and dominating that maybe you just didn't appreciate the technique that he had, which, according to all sources was unbelievable. And, that's why he performed so well for so long. And so all of those things to me say this is a guy that knows how to build, is going to have a really good insight in how to build an offensive line and put that group together. And, of course, having the experience of Coach Gerke up there, who's been around the game, who's seen everything, it's really just hard to replace that kind of experience. And so those two together, if they're all that we think that they are, then yeah, sure. I could be optimistic about the offensive line. I guess what I am saying is I'm optimistic about the opportunity for the offensive line, and then we'll see how it actually unfolds in the first couple games.
That's fair. I believe that's fair. And I am optimistic. That team went 11-2 last year, and they got a ton of guys coming back. It was the quietest 11-2 in 11-2 history.
No kidding. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
It certainly didn't feel like an 11-2 season.
Right.
And yet it was.
Because they lost a couple of games early.
Yeah, because they were 5-2, and 5-2 doesn't have any sizzle, and they didn't have a lot of, or any really big-time games after that, and the offense was on fire at that point, just lighting people up, with the possible exception of the Kansas game. They were just lighting people up the second half of the season, but nobody saw, even the biggest Ute fan didn't see a path to the Big 12 title game. Because nobody really believed BYU and Texas Tech were going to stumble. So that made it quiet.
And that may be the case. That may be exactly why, is because there was no path to the title game. And so 11-2, what an amazing season.
Yeah.
But in the midst of it, you're like, well, there's no chance of getting the title game. So
and then the coach leaves. That's what we're going to remember.
And then the coach leaves. Yeah. Yes. In all of our prognostication last year when we were talking, and this has happened for the last probably 3 years about Coach Whittingham, is he going to retire? Is he going to stay? None of it. I don't recall any of it where we said with any kind of seriousness, well, he's just going to go to another program. He's going to leave and he's going to go somewhere else.
He's going to get a lot of money to go away, and then he's going to get a lot of money to go coach in Michigan. That was not right. That
wasn't on the play sheet. None of us saw that one.
Here's one for you. What is on Kevin McGiven's play sheet? I guess one thing, he's got such a rep for being so innovative, spreading people out and throwing the ball around. And we saw it last year. It led to a lot of points and a lot of touchdowns. But Parker's so good, and he wasn't that effective in the first half of the season, but he also wasn't getting the ball in the first half of the season. Once he started giving the ball 15 times a game, his numbers exploded. A bunch of 100-yard games.
They were astounding.
They were astounding. Thank you. So do you think the magic number, should he be averaging 15 carries a game, 20? At some point there's diminishing returns and backs get beat up. What's a good number as far as the number of touches he gets, whether it's – they threw it to him a little last year, but not a lot, and maybe McGiven will change that. What's the number of touches for him and number of carries for him?
I think that Coach McGiven is going to be really thoughtful about the talent he has available relative to what he wants to do on the offensive side. I don't think it's lighting up the airwaves and throwing the ball all over the place. With that in mind, I would guess that you're looking at 20 to 25 carries a game.
Ooh. Yeah, 25 seems like a lot. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's wrong. Just I think Ficklin gets carries. I think Dampier gets carries. The other backs will get a few.
You're right. You're right. That's probably not taking into account other carries in the game. So, but I think we're in that. I think we're in that range. Like, to me, when if we're getting 20-ish carries out of a back a game, it feels like that means something's going pretty well in that area. And I always feel like that's an advantage for any football team if you're running the ball well. So I like that. I like that number, 20-ish carries per game.
Okay. I'll keep my eye on that then. Frank has spoken. We have the number. 20-ish.
Yes.
20-ish.
20-ish.
All right, Frank.
It's a talent. I like that running back room. It's a good group.
Who's your favorite number 2 after Parker? Have you got somebody figured out? Who's the backup?
I don't know.
Okay.
Like I said, Dampier. I mean, that's probably my favorite number 2. Like, I think he is as highly regarded he is as a runner. I still think he's underrated as a runner. Like, he has a real knack. In fact, there were times when I thought, just put Ficklin at quarterback and put Dampier at running back. Like, I think he's that talented.
Maybe we'll see that.
Could be.
Can't let then the safeties have to stay deep. They can't come up and help. Like,
nope, that's right.
The option pass is clearly a possibility. I can't be cheating.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Run the option with Ficklin at quarterback, Dampier at running back. That is a nightmare for a defense.
All right, Frank, we appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you every week throughout the season. Can't wait. It's almost here now.
All right, you guys are the best. Good to catch up.
Right. Thanks, Frank. Frank Dolce, former Utah quarterback, joining us right here on The Zone. DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Utah's best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth. Here we go. From the guys who have been there for all the biggest moments in Utah sports history. You're listening to DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back into the show. PK, fresh as today's headlines. We were just talking about it, and the Big Ten took us our word and immediately sprang into action. Glad we have that kind of power.
Sprang or sprung?
That's a good question. I don't know. You're the grammarian and the spell checker, so I'll trust you. I'll be over here butchering among and between. Pete Thamel, college football national writer, probably a senior writer. Sources, the Big Ten is set to pass a rule today that does not allow players to return from the NFL and play for a Big Ten school. Anyone who's declared for the NFL draft and did not withdraw, appeared on an NFL roster, or signed a contract with the Pro League cannot be on a Big Ten roster. Now, not everyone thinks this is going to make a big difference, Got people saying, well, this would be as effective as an SEC transfer rule. It's just a moral victory. Don't be surprised when the SEC wrecks the Big Ten this year, presumably because they'll have these former NFL guys will be difference makers.
I don't think so.
I'm with you on that.
A football team is just that. I don't know that one individual, in this case, somebody who wasn't most likely at that time good enough to stick on an NBA or an NFL roster. Because if he could, he would.
Right.
If you can go to the NFL, go.
So you can come back and be a good corner or a good safety or whatever, but it's hard to believe that that one player is going to make that big a difference. Great to have more good players, but...
Yeah, I can tell you that a first-team All-Big 12er defense, it was a safety at ASU last year, and he just committed to Houston.
Tim says easy to make that rule when no one wants to play for a Big Ten team. But, yeah, good job.
What do you mean no one wants to play for a Big Ten
Well,
team?
the story is about a kid going to LSU.
Okay, but there's...
A player going to LSU.
If the Big Ten offered him more money and he saw a chance to get out on the field, he would say no because it's the Big Ten? Why would someone reject the Big Ten simply because it's the Big Ten?
Doesn't seem like they would. Little Chief says, this is a great move. The only question is, will it stand up legally? An excellent question. The NCAA rules don't stand up. They have a monopoly. The Big Ten doesn't have a monopoly. Will that be enough to change things? Or will someone say the Big Ten doesn't have a right to make this decision? Every school should make it for itself.
Okay, but you're going to have someone sue them.
Yep.
Why sue them when you can just go someplace else? Why waste your time? So I don't even see that being practical.
It may not happen.
I don't think it will happen.
Depends on how badly a Big Ten team wants a player and how badly a player wants to go there. And to your point, that the pressure's on the SEC schools right now to find a way to get better because they've largely been getting to the playoffs. I mean, they have 2 more playoff wins than the Big 12 over the last 3 years against other, they win when they play each other, the Alabama-Oklahoma game. They win when they get to play G5s, but they got 2 wins against other power leagues, and they're feeling the pressure on that front.
Who's feeling the pressure?
The SEC schools are.
I don't know if there's any more pressure that they already have. I mean, you think kids are going to, I'm going to go to the Big Ten because they're going to have the last team standing? That seems too centrally focused to actually be true.
It's one of many factors. Yeah, playing time's a factor, money's a factor. But I do think for the coaches facing the boosters and or the president, certainly at LSU and Georgia, I think there's pressure to win it all. There has been in Alabama, how much that's being tempered by their lack of elite money. I mean, they've got money, but
there's always been pressure on Georgia. That was the big thing.
Right.
Can those guys get over the hump? And then they did. So I don't think
and that buys Kirby Smart some time.
No more. He buys him time.
Buys him time.
He's got a lifetime contract. Buys him time.
You know what those are worth?
Yeah, well, a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true. They are worth that.
Exactly what they're worth. He was never in danger of being fired. If Kirby Smart needs to buy time, then I would advise every coach in the history of coaching to rent. Don't buy.
I think coaches are starting to talk about that, but okay.
They are now?
Yes.
So something's changed?
I think the Penn State was the upping of the stakes. Yeah, you've been in the semifinal, and then you have a 3-game losing streak, and you're out midseason. But I get your point.
That's the extreme case.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, he gets another job. Paying him millions again.
Yep. I'll take my Penn State money, take my Va-Tech money, and I have quite the pile of money.
When you got that kind of money, you're not worried about, hey, I put my house on for $350 and they want to offer $330. I just don't see where that's big of a concern there in that situation. So, I think everybody should do it. I mean, these constant handing out more and more eligibility. It's so unseeming that it just you think you're helping the kid, but are you really helping him?
I suppose that has to be answered on a case-by-case basis, but it's not the way college sports has looked for a century. And for those of us who've been following it, it's disconcerting or just downright, it's just a turnoff. Just people, fans throwing up their hands. Now, maybe they just throw up their hands in August and September. They'll put their hands down and grab a remote and watch a game.
The turnoff is guys like Kiffin trying to justify it. That's the turnoff. I hate to be lied to.
When the truth is lying right in the middle of the room, obvious for everyone to see.
The truth is plain to see.
Don't start spinning it.
Yeah, just say, he can help us, and he's better than Joe Blow over here, so I'm going to cut Joe Blow. And it sucks for Joe Blow, but Joe Blow needs to go someplace else, and then they'll cut somebody else so Joe Blow can play. And it's the way of the world. So we're actually teaching them lessons. You're not good enough, get better. And don't try, well, everybody's doing it, and, the kids, they didn't know, and this and that, and they were only doing it. They knew full well what they were doing, that this means my college career is over. Oh, some judge in Oshkosh? Okay.
Anything to put the helmet and the pads back on.
But he says that Kiffin, well, they didn't know at the time. Yeah, they did. The rule got changed after. They thought they were done. That's why they pursued the NFL or whatever league. And I mean, BYU's doing it with this Kohler kid. He was in summer leagues. And now he can have another year of eligibility? It's silly. I mean, I'm not blaming the kid for doing it. If something is available to you, go ahead and do it. Sure. It's not the kid. It's the so-called adults. And then you have Kiffin out there trying to explain. And then Texas Tech, well, we're just so concerned about the young man.
Yeah. So how about when Chesney says he's part of our family? They're apparently bringing somebody who's in an NFL minicamp, a linebacker, Trent Hedrick.
Yeah.
Now, this rule that might go by the wayside here.
Well, the season starts next week.
Plug a linebacker in.
Waiver wires?
Well,
what they need to do is find out who got cut and go to that person. How did that feel when you were in the program and you're doing the lifting at 6 a.m. and the running and all that and blah, 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 and then it comes down to it and you get cut?
You're out.
Yeah.
It feels
We've
terrible.
seen this a million times in high school. These kids transfer all over the place, and they come from an hour away. Well, what about Johnny, who lives down the street, and that's his high school team, and he got cut? Never hear about that stuff.
Poor Johnny.
Yeah. What is that? In the sake of winning?
Which is happening at LSU, happening at UCLA, happening. Somebody's playing time is going away. Even if you have an open roster spot, somebody's playing time is going away. And if you don't have an open roster spot, then somebody's vaporizing completely.
Right. And at this point, can't you just go with the guys that you have and see what happens? Is the world going to end if you only win 9 games instead of 10?
Bear Wire at Golden Bear Wire, clearly a UC Berkeley fan. It's absolute BS that Trent Hedrick is allowed to be eligible for UCLA. Chesney knows his roster is bare, and he's shopping for NFL players now.
Of course he is.
Yep.
He's paid to win games.
So the answer to that is no, he can't just go with the roster. He's got a linebacker, and the kid played at James Madison, so he knows the system, so they figure they can
He's
plug
better
him
than
in.
what they have.
Yep.
If he wasn't better,
they wouldn't be going through all this trouble.
Yes. Right. And you hear the coaches, is it better that we discard him, put him on the street? Well, what you should say is he has too much talent for us to put him out on the street. That's what you're telling us, because if he didn't have enough talent, you'd cut him in a heartbeat if he got arrested and whatnot, whatever he did. Yeah. You see it all the time. And the pros do it too. They take guys, if you're good enough, you'll get plenty of chances because everybody wants to win. Just come out and say it. That's what I want. Don't give me some BS line Oh, you're trying to be benevolent, or you're worried about Brendan Sorsby's soul. No, you thought he could help you score a point in the playoffs because you didn't do it last year. And if Morton had had another year of eligibility, they would have said, sorry, son, you sucked. You're out. So you're not really worried about the kid. You're worried about the kid as long as he's good enough. And then you're worried about him.
Worried about W's.
Yeah, that's what everybody
Open
wants.
field tackles, big touchdowns.
Yeah, I've got at Little League, there's a guy that sat in here and he got offensive linemen who moved in. He's ecstatic. They're 11 years old. They're going to win games.
Sweet. Sweet.
And I want to make sure that I put out there I was just as guilty as everybody else was.
Thrilled about winning when
yes.
when you had the 11-year-old.
Yeah. So I am no different.
You tell the story about the parent, I forget what sport it was, but he was bringing the snacks. I don't even remember what the snacks were. And geeked up and laughing with the kids. And you at the time you said, I didn't get what is that guy doing? And then you said in retrospect, he was the one who got it. He was the one. Those are the moments, and you only get so many, and then the kids grow up and they leave the house, and you're, as one of my friends said, the only thing worse than them leaving the house is them coming back. But you don't get to freeze them at, 6, 12 years old, whatever.
His name was Jim Gassick.
Oh, you remember the story now. You got it. Okay.
Oh, yeah. He was a hero. And then he was a pilot. And then he got cancer and died at 61. Yeah, it's tragic.
I didn't know that part of the story. Or if I did, I hadn't put it together.
In his obituary, I loved my life. I just wanted more of it.
Yeah. And scene. There it is.
Yeah. And because his son was on the youngest ones. In his family. So he'd already gone through
it. You got you and all these other parents going through it for the first time.
And it's life and death.
He's on.
And I was just as guilty as anybody else.
Kid 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever.
I realize it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
Family Feud guy. Just had the discussion with him the other day. The second and third time around, it was way easier. Because he knew. It doesn't mean anything.
Let's go have some fun.
Yeah, right. But everyone is caught up on winning. And we're all thinking what we're all doing at the time we think is best. And for some, it is best. As I understand it, Jackson Dart wasn't getting recruited by many people. He goes to COVID, and depending on who was leading your state, if you're on this side and you hated that guy, you didn't play. If you're on this side and you're okay with the guy, you did play. And he transferred and he played and he was a national player, blah, blah, blah. And look at him now.
Gave him a path forward.
Yeah. Who's to say it wouldn't have happened anyway? Who knows?
Might have worked out.
Yeah.
And he had more bumps along the way.
And he came from up north to come down there. And away you go. Great. So we all do what we think is best at the time. And some work and some doesn't.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes
you're not going to find a guy who made more mistakes than me. Yeah. So we're all out there. And then it's carried from the little all the way up to the top. And it's inbred in all of us. And now we're letting guys who played professionally or tried to play come back. Well, yeah, it sounds good, but at the expense of somebody else. Because I would think that with a week to go, your roster's set.
Until the NFL makes a cut.
Yeah. What's it going to be? Cut down day's Sunday.
Are we going to have another come in here Monday morning? What is trending and have another story?
Like Monday, yeah. I think
Florida is swooping in.
1 p.m. Monday, our time, or Sunday, they have to get down to the limit and the practice squad and all that stuff. It was about 65 guys or something, somewhere in there. And most rosters have 15, 20, 30 more guys right now because they all have one more preseason game to go. And then away you go. And in a sense, that is like Trevor Riley told me a story that I think he was with the Dolphins, and they said, hey, if you don't get called, because they don't tell you made the team, you just find out you didn't make the team, right? If you don't get called on Sunday, you're good to go. Well, you're on pins and needles on Sunday. Well, you show up Monday, and you're good to go. except somebody else got cut, a linebacker someplace else, and on Tuesday, you get cut because they brought somebody in who got cut, and they signed him, and they cut you.
It never changes.
But it's the pro, so we're okay with that.
We know it's part of the deal.
College seems seedy, but will it be, and you're right, 100%, it is part of the deal, but in 10 years, will this be part of the deal? That guys get cut from the pro, okay, come back, and then we'll cut somebody, and we will not think that's seedy. It's
that's
the
where it's
standard
gone.
behavior.
That's where it's gone with the transfer portal, bringing transfers in. There's a whole thought that you go somewhere as a freshman or sophomore and you work hard and then you get your chance. And, there's a whole line of kids now who are being told, well, we get so-and-so out of the portal and they played. Or like, you didn't play your whole recruiting class. So are you a terrible recruiter?
No, you got kids that are better. Because they're better simply, if no other reason, because they're older.
Yeah, they're older. But then as you get older, then the sophomore class, they don't get to play as sophomore because they brought in. And then it's like, well, you're a junior, but you've never played. So I can bring these kids. Well, you didn't play us. You didn't play a whole recruiting class. And you're like, yeah.
And he would have been fired if he didn't win. That's like I told you. The Devils, I think, are going to name a starting quarterback today. It's going to be a transfer. Well, then what's the point of complaining about Sam Levitt leaving? But yet I've seen tons of people from ASU say, I hope he sucks this year. Well, you got no problem with the guy that they're going to name the starter coming in. You want him to succeed, and he just left someplace else where the kid the leader is going to be the kid from Kentucky. Well, he played at Kentucky. He didn't sit the bench. He played. And you're fine with him. Well, wait a second here.
Well, you weren't rejected by him. That's what it comes to. It comes down to the rejection. I was rejected by this guy. I wasn't rejected by this guy.
I don't want to hear anybody complaining about Sam Levitt leaving. Because you're bringing in somebody who left someplace else.
Good luck with that.
Well, it's stupid. The whole system is stupid. So we all need to shut up. And I'm going to be quiet right now.
Which makes for bad radio. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Over 2 decades of sports radio dominance in Utah. My favorite. This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Join Scotty G and the coach Tuesday from 10 to 2 at My Hearing Centers, 8941 South, 700 East. PK, we talked about this a little earlier this morning. Rob Manfred, amid the Major League Baseball talk, says we want to play in 2027. Happy talk, or there's actually a way forward? There's too much money being made. And the Dodgers are their best argument, and they're going to lose that between the guy having to sell everything, and he's not going to be able to keep financing it the way he has, and somebody else may win anyway.
I think they'll play.
Is it really worth it?
Well, yeah, but you're looking at it logically. You get emotions involved in this stuff, and then I got to show you. We got to win. I got to beat you. I got to get the upper hand. But I think they'll play, and they certainly want to play. Why wouldn't they? It's what they do. It's fun. Ball players want to play.
Ask for the moon. Get a few things. Settle it quickly. And even if you lose a little, you don't lose a lot.
I don't know about quickly, but I believe they'll play.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody brings you better coverage of the teams you're passionate about than these guys.
Try some more.
This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Got a question up on our Facebook page here, and PK, the people. Player leaves NFL for college. WTF. David, welcome to the new world of college football. The college part is fake. That's not new, is it?
I think it's more pronounced. I don't think it's entirely wasn't fake. But I think it's far more fakest, fakey than it has been.
Oh, I think Bruce is with you on that point. College football is slowly becoming like AAA baseball.
Except the money is far greater.
At the top.
So
for
I would
sure.
say it's becoming more like the NFL than it is AAA baseball. Because there's not a lot of money to be made in AAA baseball by players. If you're on the 40-man, it's another story. But the majority of them, we know they're not making that much money. Whereas over here in the colleges,
there are guys who are making a lot of money.
You get Love, the running back from Notre Dame, saying, I don't intend to touch my paycheck because I've been getting NIL for 3 years.
But he's also a star running back at Notre Dame. So he's making more money than a lot of college football players, I would think.
Yes, but that's not going to happen if he still came from AAA.
Yeah, he did.
So that's why I don't put it at AAA. I understand he might be the exception, but I don't think there's that many exceptions in AAA.
Brian says it's a joke. No real accountability from the NCAA or the NFL. It's easier to have a free-for-all and let everyone do what they want. Too many hands in the basket and big money involved.
Yeah, there's always been big money involved. Now it's just spread out a little bit, and it's bigger money for the player. And what is a joke, though? Because on game day on Saturdays, you don't really talk about that stuff. You talk about it the rest of the time, but...
Yeah, we don't have games right now, so it's front and center for sure.
But when the games come on Saturday, and you look at the TV shows, and then you look at the stadiums, and you see the band and the cheerleaders running out of the tunnel, it's still like unlike anything we have, and people still feel a sense of pride. That's my school. Especially if you went there. If you didn't go there, you're just rooting for them to win because it's not your school. And that's fine, too. Your money's just as good as anybody else's. So the joke, yeah, but I don't think it's impacted it negatively. And I have got no problem saying it's a joke. But yet it's still just rolling along.
Stadiums are full. TV viewership is up. There's more networks than ever that want to televise it. I mean, they're all lining up for whatever league they can get. You know, the Pac-12 in the Mountain West had no problem finding TV partners. Mm-hmm. I mean, they can't. They're not getting anywhere near the best spots on Fox or ESPN or ABC or CBS or whatever. But there's somebody out there for you.
Yeah, and colleges have been selling their souls to TV for a long time.
And they'll sell it to streamers now too. Whatever. Show me the money.
Yeah.
Spread the game around the community.
Right. Yeah. They put the Home Run Derby on Netflix. They put the Iowa Cornfield Field of Dreams thing on that. Yeah. I mean, they did it. And there was some blowback, but not enough to make them stop. And they already have. Baseball has was it Apple TV or something on Friday nights? Mm-hmm. Peacock.
Yep.
On Sunday, it was Peacock.
They got them spread out all over the place.
So, there's really no consequential blowback on all this being a joke.
It's terrible. And I will let you complain to me, but first I have to go meet with USA Network. They want to televise college football this year. They're going to sign a contract.
So until there's blowback, which I don't know that'll ever going to happen, that they will continue as is. And you know, we're used to now kids getting extra years, the COVID thing. The basketball teams who weren't going to go to the NCAA tournament, their season was over, but they got an extra year because COVID cut off the NCAA tournament that you weren't going to be a part of anyway.
And then everybody got it.
Right.
And then it rolled on forever.
So
and now
used
it's evolved
to it.
into 5 for 5.
Right. So we're used to that. And now with these kids coming back, the class of 22. Well, man, they entered the class of 22 knowing they had 4 years.
Yep.
Well, now they're being treated unfairly? They willingly participated and signed on the dotted line knowing that I could get 5 years, but I'm only going to play 4. And somehow I heard, well, the class of 22 got cheated out because they weren't in school for the COVID, and then the rule came after they were done with their eligibility. But somehow they got cheated out.
It's a classic move the bag back at first. There's only 9 guys get to run out on the field in a baseball game and the DH gets to sit in the dugout as a 10th guy. There's only 11 spots in a football game. You can keep giving people eligibility, but every time you let somebody play a game, you got to squeeze somebody else because they're not putting a 12th person out on the field, and if they do, they're throwing a flag.
Well,
so
and they're not good enough.
Squeezed. Yeah. And as long as
is that a lesson in the real world?
As long as you let people have a 5th and 6th year, there's no way the 1st and 2nd year kids are going to be good enough in most cases. It's going to be very rare. So, yeah, I guess we want to teach people the world is cruel and it ain't fair and tough and move on and get a plan B and go with that. I guess. In which case you can justify pretty much anything.
I got cut from my freshman baseball team.
Briefly.
No, I got cut.
Yeah.
I got cut.
But then you also got to be on the team.
They made an offer the principal couldn't refuse.
In 5 seconds. Either his name is going to be on this roster or...
And then when my mother died, because she was the one, she's the Italian in the family, I spoke at my mother's funeral, which is a funeral mass of something or other they call it. And my sister met with the priest and said, my brother's going to talk. No, we don't do that. Yes, we do.
No, we don't. Yes, we do. No, we don't. Yes, we do.
I went back like about 3 times.
All right, fine, but keep it short.
And it was down in Arizona. I wasn't in the room. And so he's got 5 minutes. And it came for my time to stand up. My sister grabbed me by the wrist. I still have scratch marks, I think. And looked at me and said it. Now, she's my big sister because I'm the youngest. And said it in a manner like it was gospel. Take as long as you want.
How long did you take?
As long as I wanted. I think I would probably, anytime you give a talk, you usually, if you're going to talk for 10 minutes, you prepare for 20, right? So I think I probably went 15. But the funny thing is I told that story about, because we were playing up the fact that she was Italian, FBI, full-blooded Italian. And so we were playing that up. And it's a stereotype, and I was having fun, You can't be, she was 82. I mean, it's sad.
Can't be all gloom and doom and sadness, right?
You gotta have a little, and that's why they wanted me to talk. And so I told them about, I did get cut from my freshman team. And then about, it's probably 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know, maybe less, I don't remember the time, obviously, the timeline, is I get a note from the baseball coach, they want to see me. I go, yeah, we're going to put you on the team. And my mother had told me that she had gone up there, but she didn't tell my sisters. And the entire time, for all that time, which was 40-some years, they didn't know that I knew.
Yeah.
And they thought my mother told them, but they never knew that I knew. And then I said it, and they said, oh, man, we've been keeping this secret all these years.
Anyway,
they didn't think I knew how I got back on a team. It took me about a week before I broke the lineup, and then I was in the lineup, too. And all these other guys, and I can remember you talking about that. It's funny you say that, because I can remember guys saying, wait a second, I'm sitting the bench, this guy got cut. And it took me about a week, maybe 2 weeks, to show I'm good enough. And in fact, I'm one of your better players.
Yeah.
And I end up starting, and I can remember guys saying, what the crap?
Yeah.
So it's like what you're saying at a very small level of what's going on now.
Yes.
But the fans and the administration and everybody, nobody cares.
Yeah.
And the coach didn't care then. He had an obligation to play the best players. And the principal said, put this kid on the team.
Then over time,
and he wanted to win.
And over time, he realized, well, he is one of the best players.
Yeah.
So the flip side of players not being good enough is my high school basketball team, where I didn't realize this at the time, but they did the tryouts, and then it's the flip side of what you were just saying with the NFL, where they don't tell you made the team. They were like, we're on outdoor courts freshman year, and there had to be at least 50, maybe 60 players trying out. And it was like 3-4 days of tryouts, and then like the third or fourth day, they said these 11 guys made the team. Well, it's a 15-player team. So everybody, it's tomorrow at 3. We'll see you tomorrow at 3:30. So they didn't cut anybody. Well, some guys, they just keep drifting away. Every day there's fewer players, right? There's 51, there's 46, there's 38 guys. Guys aren't coming out. And they would do this thing where you'd run the offense, and they were teaching the offense, and it was there's no defense, right? It's just 5 players running the offense. And so you could tell how many players there were by how many of these 12 outdoor courts they were using. We didn't need 10 courts anymore. Now we only need 8 courts, right? We're down to 40 guys. And so the next day they have 3 more people make the team, and you're at 14. And the next day 2 more people made the team, and you're at 16. And you're looking around like, I mean, I knew enough as a sports geek at the time. There's 15 people on a high school basketball team. Like, why did you name a 16th? And they didn't say there were any cuts, and they're like, tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So I go back out there, and they name 3 more people. I'm one of them. Now there's 19 people on the team. They end up keeping 24 people.
On a high school?
Yes. And so the first game, 15 guys get to dress, and 9 don't. And by the end of the year, PK, like one guy got hurt. One guy like broke his arm screwing around. I don't know what he was doing. To this day, we got to go to a reunion and just find out how'd you break your arm, by the way? Never heard that story. 2 guys were declared ineligible in the first grade check. One guy quit because he wasn't playing. So the numbers keep shrinking. At the end of the year, there were only 12 players on the team. And what I came to realize later was there was one guy in that class who could play. Jim Exton was a player. And everybody else, it was like, we'll let them sort themselves out. We'll see who wants to work hard. We'll see who wants to get better. These kids will sort themselves out, and we'll see. And sure enough, 12 of them were gone. And by the time we were sophomores, a lot of them had just totally moved on to something else. And I think by the end, there were only 5 of us who made it through the senior year. So you got to be, I think as a coach, you got to be realistic too, and let kids sort it out. Let them sort it out for yourself. You may think you know, but kids at that age are changing fast.
Yeah, and I think you can have that in the colleges too. And so somebody's going to get bumped.
They're still late bloomers.
No, Adam Thurl talking about how he was a late bloomer.
Yep.
And he didn't really bloom until he got to the pros. And he's fortunate enough to have that opportunity to bloom in the pros. Even though he's a late bloomer, obviously he was really good. But his body and everything that he talked about to get stronger, yada, yada. And so he viewed himself as a late bloomer, and it worked out. But for some, it doesn't. And the games go on. And I don't see anything changing. Because we've been crying wolf now for 3 years.
So it's big business. It's a multi-million-dollar business. People are going to protect their multi-million-dollar paychecks.
But the fans don't get any paychecks, and they're the ones who can revolt, and they haven't.
They have not. They have fun going to the games, and they have fun sitting at home watching the games. And that's for a lot of reasons. And there are fans who love, the best part may be the 2 hours before the game, standing out there, hanging out with friends in the tailgate
I would
lots.
say the 4 or 5 hours before.
2, 4, 6, yeah, you're right, whatever. It depends on kickoff and when your kickoff is, how early you get out there. I do hear people griping before the earlier games about tailgate isn't as good when it's breakfast.
Well, but that's rare.
It is. It is.
So you can handle that because it doesn't happen that much.
Right. And I was out there watching people show up. And you're right, for the 8:30 game, I mean, they're there by noon. It's an 8-hour deal if you draw an 8:30 game.
Right.
So
and that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
They have their lives, and not to say their lives are sucky, but their lives are kind of mundane from day to day. All of our lives are mundane from day to day. It doesn't mean it's bad, but you just go through the same stuff. And actually, you enjoy it enough that you do it, and you don't want it to go away. And you're sad when it does go away, but yet it was mundane. And this is something that you can cut loose, man. You can have a good time with people that you want to have a good time with. And so the fan base and the public has just not had any form of revolt. There may be individuals, but then they're just replaced by others.
And sometimes one person goes away and 2 replace them.
Yeah, and some people, you get older. I have a friend in the neighborhood, long time, I mean back to the crappy days of the Utes. Mm-hmm. And he had to give up season tickets a couple years ago because he's not ambulatory. It's simply driving up there, parking, and walking
in, and you can't do it anymore.
Right. And that sucks.
Yeah.
But I'm sure his seats have been replaced. And
Somebody
away we go. Yeah.
Whether it's the turnover in time or whether it's the money because it's gotten way more expensive, there's always somebody to step in. I mean, we see these. Even if you're at the games, you can see it, and if you're not at the games, you can see the people are just packed in there, and they're
And
going
then if
nuts.
your team wins, that for some folks that is the cake, but for a lot that is really icing at that point. And then it becomes wow. And if you have these experiences that the Utes have been able to provide their fans over the last 20 years, has been incredible. And we'll see what can happen for BYU this year. They've had some good times. And obviously, November 7th, I mean, we've all got it circled. And I'm really hoping both teams combined max 2 losses. I think that's realistic. Max 2 losses combined. I think it's realistic. May not happen, but I think it's realistic.
That'd be something.
Yeah. And that's what they're going to need to get any buzz because that's a huge day in college football. And Yormark decided that that's what we needed to have the best rivalry in the conference be played on that day. And I bring my biases, and I'm still calling it better than my rivalry. And my rivalry has always been special to me to the point where I don't want the two Arizonas to break up. If they go anywhere, I want them to go together.
I don't have any link to that, and long before I knew you, I would watch that game. They played a bunch of Friday day games in that series.
Yeah,
and
the weather's awesome.
Yeah, the weather's awesome. It made it easy to watch, and I've lived in this part of the country, so it's good enough. And I had a college roommate who was a big U of A fan, so
yeah,
I had that for buying.
But I still think this
one's bigger than that.
I
one.
think it's.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's bigger. I think it's better. If for no other reason, then it is literally the same market. There, it is separated. Not by much. They're growing closer by the day.
They're growing closer together. And how many of U of A grads come up to Phoenix for work? I don't know how many ASU grads
We
go to
hire
Tucson.
a few.
Middle management roles, lower positions.
Yeah.
We're a little short on bodies. Our company's growing quick.
We'll take the best and give them entry-level gigs.
Nice.
Yeah, no problem.
That day is loaded with games.
It is.
Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Alabama, LSU. BYU, Utah.
I question why that game is played then.
Totally. And I just wonder if the TV network said, hey, we want this game then.
Maybe they did. Yeah. And maybe that's what and those guys call the shots. You could play it any time during the conference season, and it'd still be huge.
I wouldn't be surprised.
At least it's in November. I like it better in November than October.
I wouldn't be surprised if Fox said, put it then and we'll put it on at 2 o'clock.
Awesome. I hope so.
As long as they live up to, if somebody falls apart, then we'll have to adapt. But Fox, 2 o'clock.
There's a good chance I'll be there.
Put the Oregon Ohio State game on at 10 a.m. Mountain, and then
which is doable,
and then go into BYU Utah
because they're all used to that stuff.
Which is so weird. That to me is one of the weirdest things, and it's a small thing. But Ohio State used to play noon kickoffs, and then as TV got big and moved game times, Ohio State started playing prime time, and so Fox is like, well, why do we want to have 4 big games all at the same time? There's no big game at 10 a.m. We can get a huge audience. So they moved back to 10 a.m. here, which is noon in Columbus. Mm-hmm. And now the Ohio State fans are complaining about TV making them play at noon. But you originally played at noon. You made it move it to the evening, but the fans fell in love with the evening, and now they want it.
Right.
They fell in love with the new thing. And it goes back to, again, it's a noon game there, tailgating, and how early do you want to get up if you're getting up 5 days a week? Do you want to get up early on Saturday? It's like, hey, I could sleep in on Saturday, and our 5 o'clock game is their 7 o'clock game.
Yeah, and they can sleep in on Sundays because Ohio State folks don't go to church.
Heathens.
Yeah, very bad people. I'm a Michigan guy, man. What can I tell you?
Oh, there it is. He's a Michigan man. Michigan plays Michigan State that game. I don't think that'll be a big game because I don't think Michigan State's good enough.
We'll win.
Right. But it could be.
We'll handle them.
Will Penn State Washington be a big game that day?
Yes.
Could be, right?
Yes, it will. At least for one, if not both.
All right, DJ and PK. Oh, Miami Notre Dame that day too. That is
gigantic.
Absolutely loaded. That's prime time on NBC. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Everything you missed in this show next.
For all of you, less motivated listeners, it's time for your 9 o'clock. Where the heck have you been headlines?
Where you at?
With DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is time to get you up to date on anything you missed in this show. Brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call Trajan at 1-855-TRAJAN-1. That's 1-855-TRAJAN-1. Or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. The big news of the morning. The Big Ten passing a rule. If you've been in an NFL camp, you can't come back to college. If you went into the draft and you didn't opt out, you can't come back to college. It's going to jam up UCLA a little bit. Chesney there, as a former James Madison running back, he was planning on plugging in. Oops.
I'll just find a Pasadena judge.
Well, that is a possibility. Meanwhile, there's some fifth-year seniors, including safety Bryson Taylor at Utah State, who are caught up in this battle over fifth-year eligibility, and the rulings are going different ways, different places. It's confusing. Apparently, he's on the outs right now. But Jackson Kohler, BYU basketball player, four-year player at Michigan State, he's still okay to get a fifth year at BYU. It depends on what ruling you're covered under, and I'm starting to get pretty confused.
Well, then just go get covered under that ruling.
Yeah, right? Sure. He says, clearly not being pre-law at UCSB on Friday nights.
Just give him an opportunity.
Kohler's part of a separate non-federal injunction at the state level in California that granted him a temporary restraining order.
Yeah.
The guy's from American Fork. He's playing at BYU. He's at Michigan State. Why is he covered in California?
Is there something that is known as a permanent restraining order?
Well, then it's a court decision as opposed to a restraining order. Restraining orders, I think, are temporary.
See, but when I think of restraining order, I think I can't go near someone.
Yeah. It stops you from performing an action. And you're right. In the case of domestic assault, you could be, you can't come within a mile or a half mile. You can't go into this county or that county.
Stalking.
Yeah, or stalking, right? Yeah. But it could be to perform, restraining order could stop a corporation
some type of injunction.
Yeah, from taking some action, firing some group of people or something. No.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. It's crazy. I suppose I don't have much of a problem if you just thought your eligibility was over and you didn't do anything, you just went on with your life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they can just do those. But if you've been in camps and stuff, because then you were trying to make a team.
Yep.
Like if you're in the summer league in the NBA, you're trying to make a team,
mm-hmm.
not necessarily that team.
That's the feedback we had earlier. We can get into our next segment about that's the AAA element, right? You can move up to the show, you move down to AAA, and you keep getting better.
Especially for basketball, where there is a plethora of opportunities to play professionally.
Why do they have to come back to college?
Yeah.
There's so many places to go play.
Right.
I mean, there's the G League in the U.S., but there's so many foreign leagues.
You can make money.
Yeah. That Joe Ingles just went back to Australia. That was a minor injury. It looked bad when he hobbled off the court. Jammed his ankle. He'll be fine in a few days.
I seen that.
Yeah. Joe's good to go.
Yeah.
Leagues everywhere.
Right. There are. So in
the
football,
Adriatic
maybe you
League,
can
wherever
understand
that is, yeah.
It's over by Adrian.
Yo, Adrian.
Yeah.
Yo, Adriatic League.
Yeah. Yeah, right next. It's in honor of Adrian.
Never, until Denver plucked an MVP out of obscurity, I'd never heard of the Adriatic League, but the Joker from the Adriatic League.
Yeah.
So the SEC sent out a strongly worded statement, and the Big Ten passed a rule. And now there's some speculation that the Big 12, ACC, and SEC may come back and pass rules. We'll see if they do or not. Stuff brewing on social media this morning that the Big Ten's just the first in a line. Time will tell.
Maybe who do you want to align yourself with? Do you want to align yourself with the Big Ten, or do you want to align yourself with the SEC?
Yeah. What if this is something where they actually find common ground? The SEC started with a strongly worded statement, and then in the next day or two, maybe that turns into a rule.
I'm all for it.
think most fans are all for it. But the coaches
Unless I can
are
get
looking,
some difference makers for my team.
The coaches who are looking to get an edge might not be all for it.
Yeah.
But, that's where maybe an AD or president steps in and says, oh, yeah, but if we do it, they'll just one-up us, and so we might be opening a whole can of worms here.
Like what?
LSU gets some guy who's cut from camp, but Georgia's going to get 3 guys who are cut from camp. And they're going to up their NIL money and get better guys. Like, you're just going to be on the practice squad. You don't want to be on the practice squad. Come back here and play.
Okay, maybe so. But, yeah.
I pulled that out of you-know-what body part, by the way. That was pretty good by me.
Yeah, I'm trying to – I don't really have a response to that
because it's all
so hypothetical.
Yeah, it's hypothetical, and it's also hazy. But everything that we're talking about that's really happening was just hypothetical not that long ago. It seemed outside the bounds, and yet here we are.
Right, but the new world order is that I almost expect it. It doesn't surprise me anymore. I just roll with it. I think it's easier for me to roll with it because I couldn't care less who wins the national title. My life won't change either way.
Watch a game and see who makes a diving catch and thrills you.
That's good enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
NCAA did rule running Ute signing Noam Yakov. I might be mispronouncing his name, but apparently I'm not going to have to say it.
Well,
Yakov
off the roster.
Yeah. He's ineligible for the upcoming season, so the running Utes have added Northern Iowa guard Trey Campbell, who's been cleared to practice with the team as he pursues a 5th year of eligibility.
Sweet. Good for him. I don't think that, what's his name? Is going to be the
Trey Campbell.
The difference between getting into the NCAA tournament or not.
Not. We talked a little baseball earlier this morning. Ketel Marte returning to the lineup this week. Is it Ketel
next
come
week?
Back? Next week? Okay. Return to the lineup next week. You play.
Maybe.
Hopefully it'll help us win, and then we'll try to move you in off-season. You go somewhere and be happy because you're not happy here.
Yeah, my guess is you don't play. He doesn't play.
They don't get him back to the
I don't know
lineup.
that the team is going to accept him.
Players have had enough of him.
Well, he
Come on.
quit twice.
You're not
2 years
showing
in a row.
up. You're not showing up in the clubhouse. You got to
Right.
show up on game day. It's a low bar. Show up. And now if he comes back to where he's saying he's going to take somebody else's at-bats away, right? And a roster spot for somebody else.
They would have to make a move, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple people there like, don't bring him back.
Yeah.
I'd like those swings.
It's a sad situation, but that's what they are faced with. And they made their bed with him, so here you go.
So he's the guy. Bunch of quarterbacks named all across college football. You can tell we're getting close to games now. We got week 0 games coming up, which starting next year will be week 1. And then as we were talking about during the break, I anticipate in a few years, they'll be sneaking week 0 games in there again. Just keep backing it up.
Yeah, I think in college football, the new Christmas day for the NBA will be July 4th. If you're playing July 4th, you're really good.
Somebody.
Yeah. The networks really want you.
Well, college is backing up now, and then the NFL will go to 18 games and double buys, and they'll back up, and they'll move one. They'll put a week earlier, and they'll put a week later. The Super Bowl will be back on President's Day, and the NFL will be playing on Labor Day, and away we'll go.
President's Day weekend, not President's Day.
President's Day weekend, you're right. Yeah, put it on the Sunday.
Right.
And then everybody can go and take over the town. You can travel home on Monday, whatever. You can stay up. They'll probably move the game later in prime time because people won't have to get up Monday morning.
Yeah, I think that's good for Ute fans.
See?
Yeah.
Way to make it local. Good work by you. All right, anything else you want to tell the people? The football news for Utah. We heard a lot of coaches talking yesterday. Jordan Gross says there's about 10 offensive linemen he can trust, so the line play ought to be pretty good this year then. Answer the remaining question on offense. The quarterback's back, the backup quarterback's back, the running back's back. You got a good line. It's go time.
If they have a good line, then, they're loaded. I'm expecting a good season.
They had a top 10 in the offense in the country last year. I think they were 6th in scoring, 41 points a game.
Sure.
It's just, can you do it against the best teams? That's the question mark. Because you're pretty much lighting up everybody else. Got to 30 on everybody except for Texas Tech and BYU.
Yeah. Well, if you score enough points, you're probably going to win.
See, there it is.
And whatever that
barrier
threshold is.
Right.
Is it 30? Is it 24? Is it 36? I'm not sure where that is. But if you get to that, obviously your chances of winning are going to be much better.
They have all that, and I'm sure all the coaches know at 30. Teams that score 30 points win X percent of the time. Teams that score 40 win X percent of the time.
Yeah. So I would think if whatever they decide that number is, and if they get there, they've probably got an 85%, 90% chance of winning.
It's not 10 and it's not 21. Those are the two scores that hung them up last year.
Right. And I mean, combined, you're just getting barely over 30. 30 seems like a good number, although there's probably going to be some games where you're going to need to score more than that.
The average scoring number in the NCAA football has dropped from like 28 to 26 points a game is average. So to your point, 30, you're 2 to 4 points over average depending on the year.
Right.
And so your odds of winning start climbing dramatically. 31, 35, and so forth, and so on. Whereas, wherefore. All right, we're all done with this segment. When we come back, your feedback next. Stay with us.
And it's all over almost here.
Don't go nowhere.
It's time to hear from you. From all your texts, tweets, and posts. This is the best feedback of the day.
Woo! Oh, I was there. It's the best game of my life.
With DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Join Scotty G and the coach from 10 to 2 at Tim Dolly Nissan Southtown. Tomorrow, 11155 South Jordan Gateway in South Jordan. Time for your feedback. What do you think about today's show? You have been weighing in on multiple questions here. Headline, player leaves NFL for college. WTF. Welcome to the new world of college football, David says. It's that simple. He doesn't like it. But what are you going to do? It is the new world.
Nothing you can do. I guess you can just say, I'm out. I'm done.
Joe Klatt predicts Texas Tech again beating BYU in the Big 12 title game. Would that make BYU's season a disappointment? Jason, wow, breaking news once again. Thank you, Captain Obvious.
There's three things that Joe Klatt can count on. Death taxes and Texas Tech beating BYU.
If BYU's undefeated in the regular season, Dylan says it really shouldn't be a disappointing season. They're 12-0. That takes them to 12-1.
Okay. If you're 12-0, it shouldn't be a disappointing season. As long as they get in. But I will say that I'm reluctant to call something a disappointing season that has to be voted on. It's like the Jazz, if they don't play an 83rd game,
it's because they weren't good enough.
That is a disappointment. But they don't have to be voted in.
They can earn it.
Right. And it's the only way you can earn professional sports. You're not voted in, right? And with the colleges, like last year, even though the games against those two games didn't turn out, it's really hard for me to say that they had a disappointing season because somebody didn't vote them in. If it was set up where everybody has the same chance, the brackets are what they are, and you know what you need to do, if the Jazz don't play an 83rd game this next season, that's a disappointment. Because there's no committee who decides it.
But a committee could have bias and get it wrong, and you shouldn't beat yourself up over that.
Or they favor somebody else.
A different way of saying they got it wrong. But
I suppose, yes. So it's really hard for me to say, actually both BYU and Utah last year, it's hard for me to say either had a disappointing season. I think they had great seasons.
But now you want to be in the conference title game. And so if you're not, you label it a disappointment. Although I really didn't hear that many U fans griping about the season. I mean, there's disappointment over not being in the conference title game, but there was a recognition.
Well, but they didn't know what they had because they had two subpar seasons by their standards.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were glad to be back and be in the ranking.
They were.
And you should be.
And there were a lot of thrilling games. And the games that weren't thrilling were not thrilling because you were so dominant. Cincinnati game, the Colorado game, those games are the Sun Devil game. Yeah. Those games are completely out of hand very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Sun Devil game was awesome from that perspective because it was a torrential downpour and people got to leave.
Yeah, right.
The joke that they played that game.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying the outcome would have changed. Just
But
when I walked from the parking lot, which is up by the Huntsman Center, my shoes and socks were soaked.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And those were all home games. The road game at West Virginia was also a debacle. I mean, that was over in a heartbeat. I think they scored on 4 straight possessions.
As it should have been. West Virginia was in a rebuild mode. Yeah.
So there were a lot of just blowout wins.
I will say this. If Utah wins in Arizona and Tucson on November 14th, they're going to the title game.
Because
that means they're good. If you can win that game the week after BYU, you have to go on the road to Tucson, provided...
They still have TCU the very next week on the road, which could also be difficult. I get it. To your point about winning in Arizona would be a big win, totally believe it. That's, to me, if you're like, is this game bottom half of the schedule, top half? I would say that BYU, Arizona, TCU, you can make an argument right now that's the top third of the schedule right there.
Oh, no question. Yeah. Right now, it could change.
Top quarter, maybe?
I mean, if Afita isn't playing, it's another story.
Sure.
But if they go down there and win that game,
that'd be huge.
I really like their chances. But, yeah, that November.
Houston and BYU look like the toughest home games. Arizona and TCU look like the toughest road games. But whatever that's worth on paper right now.
Yeah.
Of course, we're also projecting all games in the second half, so somebody could have lost their quarterback, their running back, their offensive line, their defensive line. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of folks had Utah winning the Big 12 their first year. And then we know what happened. Cam Rising went down again.
Yep.
Against, what was it, Baylor?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was sitting in the restaurant of a golf course in the Dallas area because BYU had just played SMU the night before. And I was going to the Ranger game the Saturday night. So we played golf, and I timed it so I could be in the restaurant to watch that game. And, yeah.
Shaking of the heads, words escape you.
I know. It's like, oh, my gosh. This is awful. And sure enough, it turned out to be awful.
All right, we're out of time. It's time to turn it over to Scotty G and Tim Lacombe. They're up right after the break, right here on The Zone.
Dang it, show's over. Wait a minute, I'm not finished.
Shut up and let him finish.
Where did the time go?
Well, that was an incredible waste of time.
That's it. I'm done.
See you next time.
Goodbye.
We all have routines. I'm Jabron, and with diabetes, mine was finger sticks. Sometimes I skip them because they hurt. The Freestyle Libre 3CGM changed that. It gives me glucose insights without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Finger sticks are required if your glucose alarms or readings do not match symptoms, or when you see check blood glucose symbol for the first 12 hours. The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Queen Carvania stood haloed by the morning sun. An army hung on her every word.
My champions, I have sold my chariot on Carvana. 'Twas a lovely SUV, an inexplicably queenly offer. They're even coming to the castle to collect it. Tonight, we feast. An offer you can feast on. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.